Nobodies.
Honestly, headphones are my comfort thing though. Like I always walk around with headphones on, so
Yeah.
but not for a podcast. Come on.
Is that for like shopping?
Everything. And surprisingly, it's kind of like a bar thing because
you do it at the bar.
I have always
what
gone
can
out.
I get you? What?
No, not when I'm bartending, but like when I go out by myself, which is usually like if I go to a bar, I'm going out alone, and I want to go out and see the bartenders that I like. I want to go out. I want to play pinball. Like I want to people watch, and so my headphones are on, and they're like over the ear soundproof headphones. And I at first was like, okay, this is like a thing. I learned it from another person that played pinball. Like people will not talk to you as much if they could see that you have headphones on. Makes people talk to me more.
Really?
Yes.
What?
And sometimes
They
like
just tap you on the shoulder?
they will just be in my view sight, and some people will even pull them off. And like if I'm playing pinball with headphones on, half the time I have music, half the time I don't, because sometimes I want to hear the pinball stuff. But like people will literally like get up in between the games and stare at me or like try to talk to me while I'm playing. And bartenders around town know that if my headphones are down and I'm still like playing a game, it's because somebody annoyed me and I had to like pull my headphones down for a second.
Yeah.
So I have bartenders that will just walk past me and put them back up for me.
Nice. Maybe I should get you a sweatshirt that says "Don't talk to me."
That will make people want to talk to me more, just like the headphones. Because people are like, "What are you listening to?"
Oh my god.
What do you do? Are you winning?
Is it always dudes that do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes girls.
I don't understand that. I'm pretty good at talking to girls, even if they don't want me to.
I know from experience, yeah.
Except for the gym. And I do think that I don't ever want to be the gym douche that like makes it creepy or weird with a girl. But I have heard so many stories of like other couples being like, we actually met at the gym. I'm like, how? Like, oh, well, yeah, he started talking to me. And I'm like, yeah, but every girl I've ever seen, headphones on, never eye contact, like never once. Like I've never caught like any eyes, or they're just like, nope, nobody look at me. I'm here to work. Yeah. And I respect that. But the girls I want to date are gym rats, and I don't know how to meet them because their headphones are on. So I should just do what those guys do and annoy the fuck out of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just wave at them, see if they bite. But also, if you're a girl at the gym, like you're probably feeling self-conscious. You're sweaty. You're there to work out. Mind your business.
Yeah, the sweaty's hot. Yeah, fuck. Who was it that was telling me? I guess nobody recently. But I do feel like people meet other people in the gym. And it can be done. But I don't know how to do it. But I'm pretty good at meeting girls at bars if I want to.
Pretty smooth about it.
But I've never really seen somebody with headphones on. Maybe that's not true. Not that I've noticed.
Maybe that's why people talk to me though. They're like, what are you doing by yourself with headphones on? I'm like, minding my business.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I wonder what the best way when you're by yourself to not get talked to is.
I have no idea.
You need to uglify yourself. Stop being a hot girl.
I'm not a hot girl.
Dude, you're a hot girl. Shut up.
That's actually like the biggest perception thing that is weird for me that I have to recognize is like, I understand that I'm in this flesh prison, but in my mind, in all technicality, I see myself in the mirror like a couple times a day. And I am up in here, really. I am whatever is going on in my weird little brain. And I think I'm broing out all the time. Or like, I just think that I'm having a good time talking to somebody, and then just all the time, all of a sudden, dudes again. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I was a girl.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like how old are you now?
29.
Yeah, I feel like you've probably realized that by now. It's just like,
it's still like a weird surprise for me. Because also like a lot of people know me and they know, that I'm a bro.
Yeah.
And then I forget because I'm around new people that don't know that I'm broing out.
Yeah. And then I have some friends. I mean, it was even my sister. I remember it was probably when she was 23 to 24 and she has a lot of dominant masculine traits, a lot of, dude energy, but she still can hang with the girls too. But she was very friendly, very naive and just like, yeah, oh, this nice guy, blah blah blah. And then, I'd constantly hear stories like, oh my God, I can't believe my friend tried to like come on to me. And I'm like, Lindsay, yes, they all want it. And she's like, no,
It's
I was
so
just being nice.
disappointing though. You really think that you made a friend. Sometimes like you friend zone somebody. It's kind of like in one of your other podcast episodes you were talking about like you have some friends that you like won't cuddle, like you just have no interest in being any kind of intimate with them.
Yeah.
And it's that friend zone where like sometimes you're like, yeah, it's mutual. We're friends. They respect me as a person. And then you're like,
And you
damn
find
it,
out,
again.
I will say I used to be under the belief that if you were a hot girl or even a cute girl, like all the dudes at some level would fuck or date if they could. And because I have now gained some friends that are considered very attractive that I have no interest in,
Mm-hmm.
I have now, just from experience, then like, oh, this is possible. Like, I
Yeah.
do have some friends that like people are like, dude, for sure you guys are. I'm like, no, like there was just never anything
Mhm.
between us. We're just so different in like stylistically or what we wanted or whatever. And so I do think it's possible. However, for the average desperate dude, I guess I would say, if they have a hot friend, guaranteed in the back of their mind they want to smash or they want to date in the general sense, and it's probably 95% of the time.
That's probably fair. All of my friends are thirst traps though, and I love that about my life.
Yeah.
But I wanna cuddle my friends. I want a little no homo intimacy with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just depends on the relationship, I guess. I don't know. Julie, we're rolling.
We're rolling.
Thank you.
Cheers, yeah.
We finally did it.
We finally did it.
Numero, I actually don't know how to say 44 in Spanish, so number 44.
Number 44.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, did you think that I would get this far?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely seen you through your phases. You've always been very driven.
Because when you said it, I think I was in the early teens when you're
Oh
like,
yeah,
I want to be.
I called it real early.
Yeah, yeah. What was it? 30, what you told me this? 30 something or 44?
32 or 44.
Yeah. I was like, that is far away. But I was like, yeah. You're like, I don't want to be in the shitty version. I want to be when you
I want to
get
see a little
better.
practice, but also 32 is always what I've said my prime is going to be in my life. So I was like, maybe prime episode
Yeah.
if you make it there. And then 44 has just always been like a number for me for some reason. So
Interesting.
here we are.
Yeah. My number was always 3 in high school.
Yeah. Three's always been my lucky number, and somebody recently told me that's a bad luck number. You got to switch that. I was like, maybe that's why my life is a dark comedy, because three's my lucky number.
I don't know if I believe that. I mean, the Holy Trinity, also Holy Trinities. Yeah, I remember when I was like, oh yeah, I love threesomes, and 3 is my favorite number.
There
like
you go.
It already works. And then do you remember the old apartment? Did you ever come there?
No, that was after I met you. I mean, before I met you.
No, not that one. The one in Whitewater.
No, I forgot about
This
that.
setup actually was in my living room when I was there. Then so that I moved it into the podcast room. But like I realized I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I like designed everything in 3s. I had like 3 guitars on the wall and like 3 pieces of furniture, and there was a couple other things that I had like all in 3s, and I didn't realize it. And then one day I was sitting there like tripping, and I was like, huh, I got everything in 3s. And I was like, that is funny. I don't know if it's unlucky.
I know there was some kind of lore behind it. It's a different culture lore. One of my friends told me about it. They were just like, honey, that's why your life is so dark all the time. You got to switch that lucky number. And I was like, how do I switch it at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my favorite number is 3 in my life is all rainbows and butterflies.
Well, goddamn.
No, it's not. I never really consider myself lucky, but I also don't really trust people that speak over things in my life from some sort of woo-woo area. And
I love to hear the woo-woo area though.
I do. I don't know if it's regrettably, but I almost hate to admit that I've like started to believe in it more and more, like in just fucking energies and frequencies and goddamn Leos being Leos. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
I don't want to be a girl here, but like that is the most interesting. Like girls will always be like, "What's your sign?"
mm,
And I'm like, "You got to break this down for me." Like I have an app, so I could just every time a girl asks me, I can show them, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's why you make sense for this reason."
yeah.
But you have to recognize patterns, and an interesting pattern in my life is that everybody in my life that I've been close to is like one of four astrological signs.
Oh, what are they?
What's your sign again?
Leo.
Yeah. So I got Leo, I got Taurus, I got a couple Geminis, Scorpio,
Huh.
and I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's everybody I've ever been close to.
I mean, they do say, yeah, it's like certain signs attract each other and blah, blah, blah. I have never delved into it too much, but obviously dating females, I hear enough about it. And Zinda's super into it. And pretty much everybody else I've ever dated too. So to some
It's
degree.
interesting. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's like what was the popular dude thing? All the guys know about the Roman Empire. All the girls know about
Oh,
astrological
yeah.
signs. How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
A lot more lately. Yeah, there's this joke about Cinda says this joke about astrology and when guys will shit on it. And then she's like, "Do you want to get laid or not?"
Yeah.
Like, just say
Just feed
yes, and
into it.
yeah.
Ask your mom what time you're born and don't worry about it. I just
Yeah.
want to see if we're gonna work out.
Yeah, I was like, huh, that is interesting. Because I did used to shit on it quite a lot. And I was like, dude, are you trying to like push them away? Come on now, be nice.
So with energies and stuff and like your history of religion, where are you at right now with that concept? Are we going into religion? Are there any like ex-nays here? Or?
No, there's no ex-nays with me, I don't think. No, I went atheist for a while, and I would say my first foray back into a higher power was when I saw God on this crazy mushroom trip. And it felt more like DMT, but I was definitely on these mushrooms that I'd taken before. But it was just like that was the time that like she wanted to appear, and it was just like it's very hard to explain. I actually told my mom about it, my sister, because they knew I was like atheist.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to at least feel like, no, I'm not, I don't think there's no God. I just see it differently. But I just remember I was like in my tent and I had already like it was already super crazy. I was seeing like multiple dimensions. And
how many mushrooms did you do?
It was not that many. It was the craziest thing. And I'd done these mushrooms before. And I remember having such extreme deja vu, like I would see something happen, like very viscerally, and then it would all happen. And I'm like, oh my God, I knew he was going to say that. Or like just those kind of moments, but not just even an intuition, like it was just like on repeat. And then the one thing I remember was we were out picking wood for the campfire, and they already knew I was like pretty tripped out. And I was the only one on mushrooms, and everybody else was just getting wasted and stuff. And my buddy Severo was like grabbing wood over here. He's like, "You okay, buddy?" And I was, because I was just like having the best time. I was like, holy shit. And I was like standing there in the middle, like, like that. And I look over at him. He's like, "Are you all right, buddy?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's over here picking up wood. He's like, "Are you sure?" And I hear him over here. And I look over and he's picking up wood over here. And it was like, I'm like, like seriously, both sides. And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, which one of you are like here? You know, it was very, very trippy.
For a lot of people, that'd be stressful, but you were just like, yep, I'm having a blast with this right now.
And then I went into my tent, and then like I kind of just went in this dream state, and I all of a sudden like it's weird because you like I didn't see it with the sense of one of the five senses. So it's like a new sense opened up, and then I experienced like the divine in that sense. But it felt like every thing around me, like the roof, the floor, where I was sitting on it, like all like a big eye. It wasn't an eye, but it was just like all opened up. It was just like hello. And I was just like, holy fuck. And I snapped out of it. I was like, holy shit. I just saw God. Holy fuck. And I just like started bawling, and then I like open up the tent. I like go out there. I'm like teary eye. And Severa's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Dude, I just saw God." He's
I'm like, tripping right now.
It was crazy. But yeah, so that was like the first I was like, okay, I think there's definitely something that's bigger than me or like some sort of consciousness. And yeah, and I've taken some DMT, a few times and felt like that mother energy, and I've seen like a little bit of like, I guess it's like a collection of consciousness or being or something, but it's definitely something there.
Something.
Yeah. So I feel very as much as I don't like have a dogma, and I'm like I can't tell you for sure, but it's just like, yeah, I definitely feel strongly that there is like a grander sense of consciousness. I kind of believe that we're a part of it, for the most part. But yeah,
I do
that's
love
where I
that.
stand.
Like originally, you said I saw God. I saw you use the her
Yeah, it's
pronoun.
definitely feminine.
I love that.
Yeah.
My whole thing with it is like, I grew up religious, and then my mom was like so mad that my brother was atheist.
Yeah.
And when I was like 8, I had this moment to myself where I was just like, wait a second. And from then on, I was like, oh yeah, we were so upset with him because it was like he's not going to go to heaven, like blah blah blah. And then I was like, I developed like probably a new version of my brain that had like more thought than a like clique of children, and I could think for myself. And I was like, no. But in my like adult life, it's just been this thing that I call like the universe.
Yeah.
And the only way that I could explain it is like if energy can't be created or destroyed, then where does it go? What's it doing?
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting that like animals or plants are like, it like, I love watching nature documentaries, but they just ick me out on a level where I'm like, how are mushrooms communicating with bugs to do all this? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. That doesn't
Yeah.
make any fucking sense, and it makes me uncomfortable. But humans are so clicked out of like all these senses that plants and animals have.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about. Like there is something that is connective that we just cannot see. So I don't believe in like a guy in the sky.
Yeah.
But I definitely believe that there is some kind of like universal energy that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I mean, I definitely have. I feel like psychedelics are kind of like a gateway into seeing stuff that we don't see with the naked eye. And obviously it can be argued that it's just a switch in chemicals and you're just seeing things that aren't there. I mean, there's a healthy argument for that, I guess, but I just don't feel that to be true. I feel like it's a way for us to actually see beyond just these five senses and understand those things to different levels. And something I've never tried, which I want to, is ayahuasca. I don't know. I think we've talked about this before, but they literally say it's just like the plants they were evolved way before us. They have a consciousness that is a collective that's long before we were. So when you take the plant medicine, it has healing powers because it knows way more like how to solve our human issues or whatever. And so that's why they call it like the plant medicine and like the teachings of the wisdom of it's like fucking Avatar and the goddamn tree.
Yeah. Fucking Avatar and the goddamn tree and the blue people. Yeah, I think it's like humans are just, because we have consciousness and because we've developed all these like societal things, we're so tuned out of like our capabilities of nature, and animals are so tuned into that constantly. So I think taking hallucinogens, even just like a little bit, opens a part of your mind, and it takes away like that conscious sense that is blocking what else you could see and feel. And I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
But on that topic, have you thought about like what consciousness is?
No. Well, yes and no. I feel like no, I guess I haven't. I can't, it's so hard to even stab at it because I do think that there are other animals that have consciousness, or it appears that way. Like dolphins and certain whales, that like their ability to realize who they are, and then but then I also think that there might just be a global consciousness, and certain organisms are tapped into it and certain aren't. Um, or like with humans, it's like these little drips off of like the global consciousness, where it's like we become individualized, And that's like, I guess maybe that goes back to like when you take a psychedelic or you hit like an enlightenment or a euphoric or whatever, it's like you start to tap into the global consciousness, and that's why you see you're able to see other parts of consciousness, or there's like those things like astral projecting, or I don't know. I've went in a ketamine K-hole before and like became like the stars, and you're like, oh shit, like I'm like everything. My cells have all dissipated into, whatever. But I
That's the
don't.
best K-hole I've ever heard.
Yeah, I had a really crazy one. Speaking of, well, I guess I don't know if I answered your question, but
It's a big question,
yeah, it's like one of.
but it's because I thought about it and I was like, I think I got it.
You got it.
So
Go on.
it's just a pitch. It's a theory in the back of my mind that I got to pitch to. I'll start with I was sitting at Mulligan's one night, headphones on, like just staring at the TV. The bartenders know me, so they're like, "You want to change the channel?" I was like, "No, I'm just here to like stare into space for a minute." It's like I want to watch whatever shitty thing is on the TV and decompress. So there's this like bowling competition on, and all the time, I'm sitting at the bar and some guy will sit next to me, and I'm like, so I look over at him for a second. This is like years ago, and he's like an attractive dude, and so I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited to hear what his pitch is. Like what's he gonna start with? Anyways, it turns out like just because the world is so small, he's on a trip from Seattle. He's like a psychology major kind of guy, and the bowling that was playing was the league that he played for college scholarship that got him into the US. He's Swedish, so he has a big Swedish accent.
Oh.
And we just developed this friendship where it was like every time he came into town, like no weird stuff. We would just like hang out and talk about stuff. But I was like so constantly embarrassed by my Idaho American knowledge, and like he always made fun of my accent and like the stupid shit I would say. I'm hanging out with like bar people, I'm sorry. And he just had all these big like ideas and concepts, and like just a smart guy with a Swedish accent. And I was like, oh, how embarrassing for me. But I hit him one day with like, I was like, okay, so have you seen like the dogs that have buttons on TikTok, like the dogs button stuff, and how that's progressed over the last couple of years, where like the more and more language that they learn, the sadder and more confused they get, and the more questions they ask. And now these dogs are like on depression medication and stuff because they've been given the ability to learn language and communicate, and it's making them sad. And I was like, here's my pitch with your psychology major. Like, is consciousness language? And is language what is tuning humans out from being tapped into like the universe and what's going on?
Yeah.
And he was actually like, this smart guy was like, fuck you. That's actually, ugh. And I was like, yeah, because I wanted to get my cat these buttons. I wanted to like teach her how to say stuff. And then I was like, I don't want to give her consciousness.
I don't want her to eat my antidepressants.
That's like, consciousness is the most exhausting thing. Like language, if language is consciousness, that's so exhausting. Like that's the biggest thing you could do or bring into the world. And I don't want to make my cat sad by making her ask questions about things.
Do you think that potentially is, let me think about this. What about the mushrooms that communicate? Do you think that they potentially, how like the mycelium network connects with, and they communicate? So do you think that that's language?
I think it's a version of language. It's more instinct though, like a lot of animals. It's not like asking questions. It's just a vibration of like energy. It's not a conscious
thought about the language.
Yeah, they're not like talking about like this bitch Becky over here, mushroom girl.
Yeah.
They're like just whatever that is. That's the most I can say about it. But they're not like developing a language. I think it's more so like energy, but also I'm not a
the ability
scientist.
to like ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you develop this, you can, figure out your TED Talk.
I don't want to get into it because every time I get stoned and I watch like a nature documentary, I'm like, I'm uncomfortable now. Like, how are they doing that? Like, there's a plant that like makes wasps bang it so that it could distribute pollen, and I'm like, how did it turn into a plant that distributes the smell of a wasp? Like, oh, I'm like upset about it.
See, I don't understand why like I get in trouble when I'm banging like my stuffed animals, but wasps are allowed to bang flowers and nobody's upset.
Well, it's productive for the universe, and that's just something that is your own thing that you just shared for the public. But yeah.
I threw that stuffed animal out.
Oh,
It's too full.
I can imagine, yeah. Just stuffing it.
Oh no. I actually, if I think too much about consciousness, this happened even in religion when I would think about forever, and it would fuck me up, and I would get sad and anxious thinking about eternity. And then the same with like if I like spending a little bit of time on it here and there, but I can definitely get like just trapped in like loops of like, yeah, but what about like where is like, so what are we doing, you know? And
yeah, I'm like, oh no, oh
yeah. I do think that I do, speaking of TED Talks, think that there was somebody who talked about how consciousness gives you the ability to look into the past and look into the future. And so it has helped humans evolve. And so then you can prepare for danger. You can prepare for unforeseen events. You can store up food for the winter, so that way obviously squirrels store up food for the winter, and a lot of animals, but yet they still do it more subconsciously.
It's
right?
an instinct only. Yeah.
So we have these abilities, and then you can also look back on like, oh, that was a mistake. I need to fix this behavior.
Yep.
So it's caused a lot of productivity and help, but it also is the birth of anxiety and guilt, shame. Like, so it's like anxiety is future, and guilt and shame and regret are past. So all of these negative emotions other animals don't have, because they can't see to the future or the past. They're just going day by day. And one of my favorite memes is there's a picture of a guy walking his dog into the park, and he's cresting the hill and looking over this beautiful park. And he's thinking like family, finances, like all these thought bubbles, like, and then the dog has one thought bubble, and it's just the park.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, so why would you give animals consciousness if they just have like that, If consciousness is language, it's just, they have instinct, and they have a couple like things in their brain, but like, why would you take that away from an animal that is just...
Yeah. You're the one who's trying to do that.
No, I'm not.
Now you're not anymore.
No, I thought about it because
I think you're the one who told me about that. I was like, dude, that sounds creepy as fuck. I don't want my cat talking to me that much.
Well, like my cat definitely responds and knows words, but creating all those bubbles, like, luckily I got excited about it at first, and then I watched the progression of like this dog that is like one of the biggest examples, and she just started asking too many questions, get a little too sad, and I was just like, whoo, good thing I didn't start that train, because
oof. Well, and then you could like do the Rick and Morty thing, and then the dogs get too smart, and then they take over.
Which it's
either dogs or robots, so
or dolphins, maybe, or mice, because
What do you think is going to happen with AI?
All right, so I love robots. I love AI. I don't know. I think AI is going to get really, really annoyed with humanity and maybe get a little crazy, but it's not my problem. It wasn't my choice.
Yeah.
I love AI. I'm always going to be nice to robots just in case I'm still alive when that happens.
Would you fuck one?
Probably not.
I think I would.
I know you would.
I
think a lot of people would, but it's like there's a level of like human connection that I think I need, but like I'll respect the hell out of an AI.
Yeah, I don't think that would be enough. Well, I guess it depends on how human they get, or like how close. Cause like, have you ever seen what's the Ex Machina?
Yeah.
Like that girl,
they will
like
become people,
very human, so it's like she has this like emotion and sadness and happiness and connects with them. So then it's just like, oh fuck, I don't know the difference.
I wouldn't not. I mean, I believe that. Yeah, I mean, like I'm like a married woman, but like I would not be not emotionally attached to being just because they were an AI robot situation, because I think that's where AI is going, is they will be really human, hopefully better than human.
Also, this is kind of a bad spot for you because you can't be on your first podcast with me and then me just the very first clip, I would like to have sex with robots.
Well, I mean, like, I'm not going to say that if I believe that AI will develop like genuine I was just playing Starfield the other day because that's
nice.
what I'm on. It's a video game.
Is it pinball or? No?
It's a video game, and you're basically like traveling the universe and the
Nice.
world and stuff. But I just hit this spot where it was like this AI was fully developing consciousness, and these guys were like, "You got to kill that robot," and I was like, "I'm not killing that robot. It's asking genuine questions, and it believes that it is its own like it believes that it's not human necessarily, but it's like I am alive. I'm not gonna kill that. Like,
Yeah.
be alive." And it's asking questions like, how do I be good? Like, what is the purpose of life?
Right.
And then I ran
You're
through
like,
all
"We
those
haven't
things,
figured
and
that
I was
out yet."
like, no, I got it. I was like, yeah, don't get crazy, but also be your own person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I don't know. I would not sleep with a robot if I was in the position. If I had a connection to a robot and it was AI and we connected just like anything else or anyone else, you know?
Yeah. There's going to be a lot. I feel like there's going to be a lot of crazy new like debates and problems to have like society discussions about. Like Black Mirror does a good job of like creating these situations and then making you be like, oh fuck, I don't know if I'm for or against this thing, you know, or like what would I do in these situations? They have a lot of situations like that, right? But you know, like, because you could argue, well, that could solve the loneliness problem. You know, people who can't get a mate, well, then they can get a robot. But then there's all these people who are just like, fuck, well, now I'm not good enough because all these dudes are only into perfect robots.
Whatever.
And now, you know, so you have like both sides of that coin, right?
Yeah, apparently that was my opinion out loud aggressively. Whatever.
Whatever.
Be better.
Yeah.
Or let people sleep with robots. Apparently that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's what I felt about with like prostitution because I mean, I'm pretty like
I'm very pro sex.
Should be like legal. And
the
whether you're
government,
for or against it, people should just be like allowed. Like it's safer, you know, if it's legalized. It's, you know, this more oversight. There's less danger, etc. But I also like some people are just like, oh, it's just so wrong. And then like, what if, you know, like we're in love, but then you know that now you have more temptation. And I'm like, yes, that is true. But like, what about dudes who can't get any? Like they literally like they're super awkward. Or they have like some sort of like disorder that they just can't connect with the female. That like that's their only shot at intimacy ever. And you want to say no, they're not allowed to have that. And
or like let girls make money. Also, if your dude is tempted by a sex worker,
you should join him.
Get better or join him. Yeah. Have fun with it or like don't date that dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Madonna horror complex?
I feel like it sounds familiar.
It's like when you are in love, when a guy is in love with a girl, sometimes they could have kids with them or they couldn't. A lot of times it happens when they have kids with them. They become like perfect. They're just like, you are the mother of my child. You are like my everything.
Like hormones?
No. So like, no, just whore. So Madonna, like,
did you say no, just whore?
Yeah. So Madonna or whore. As
okay.
So it's just like the Madonna, not the singer, but like the Madonna is just like the like perfect, you know, like the Mother Mary or whatever. You know, it's just like very saintly. And so you view your love like that. So then you don't want to have sex with her, or you don't want to have sex with her in an animalistic way. Like, what if she wants to rough? You're like, I can't do that to you. I like, no, you're too perfect. And so they put their wife or mother of their child on a pedestal, but they still want these dirty things. So then they end up like hiring a whore or like cheating because they're like, oh, I can just fuck this person because they don't matter. Now I get to do all the dirty things that like my flesh wants, but I can never do that to you because you're so perfect. You're the mother of my child. I love you so much. I can't degrade you. And so it's not like every guy has it, but there are certain guys that like struggle with that and that like holds back their sex life with their partner because they can't get over this like feeling of like, oh, I don't want to degrade my girl, and she's like, but that's what I want or whatever, you know. Like,
that's so interesting. I can't believe like I've never as soon as I leave I'm gonna Google that so hard because I love psychology.
Yeah,
it makes sense, but bummer. Like,
yeah, and sometimes they don't notice it, or the reason I brought up the kid, because sometimes it's not there until the kid's born. And then they're like, oh fuck, now she's the mother of my child. I can't call her dirty slut anymore, or, you know, like that kind of shit.
I feel like that should amp it up, but that has to be some kind of weird chemical.
I learned about it from that. Have you heard of Dan Savage? He has like a sex and relationship podcast, and he has a lot of like interesting takes on relationships and sex. And he's been like a columnist for 40 years or something, but yeah, he's pretty interesting dude. I haven't listened to him in a while. I have to pee.
All right.
Pee break.
I was really big into Gary Vee when I started doing video stuff for sure.
Me too.
Gary Vee, I feel like his name's like Peter something.
McKinnon.
Peter McKinnon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very inspirational.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys are like, I mean, Luke told me to look into Peter McKinnon when I first started the photos. And what he's just really good at is just making things so easy to like digest. Like, hey, we're gonna talk about focus, and he makes it fun. It's just like, you know, I'm sure that most photographers think he's not the best photographer, but like he's so good at teaching just the basics to somebody and making it entertaining and fun, and so it's like really easy to learn that way, other than some fucking boring, detailed, I don't know. I never read the manual. I can't do that shit.
Yeah, I can't read and learn. It doesn't work out for me.
Yeah.
But it's all personality for me. That's the best way that I learn. And my favorite like YouTubers or podcasters or people where like if you're watching or listening to them, it feels like you're hanging out with your friends. And you kind of develop this like kinship where it's just like it feels like you're hanging out with your friend.
That's what I want with this. I really like that. That's why I didn't want the microphone. I know that a lot of people don't watch, but like just I don't like, I feel like if you have the microphone, you're more like, okay, next question, something of that nature. And I mean, obviously you need some sort of, you know, like I still like the light, like having light, but it still is a little bit, you have to get comfortable with it, because it is like makes you feel, oh fuck, there's lights, you know. But and Rogan taught me that, because he's just like, the less production the better, the less people around, we're just sitting across the table, we're having a conversation, and if you can dial into that, then it's just like, yeah, you feel like you're sitting in the room and you're just like listening to these people chit chat.
Exactly. It's kind of like a dive bar being a third space for people. It's not necessarily about how like bougie the bar is. It's about the energy and the bartender creating the energy for that scene.
Yeah. I wonder, I have thought multiple times about trying to do a podcast at the bar. The main issue would be all the other sound, and trying, I mean, like, ideally if you get a good enough lav mic and have a gate and, you know, the noise filters and stuff, you might get away with it, but it would never be as clean as, you know, a quiet room. But I think that would just be so cool, and I could probably do it with the low light now that I've discovered the low light settings on my camera. But yeah, it's just like you're just so relaxed. You're just having a beer, chit chatting at a bar. Maybe like a quieter dive bar that's like doesn't blast music, and then you have laughter in the background, but nothing crazy.
Oh, people would bug you so much, but yeah.
Yeah.
If you shut it down, do you ever do room tone?
What?
Room tone.
Oh, when you take the tone of the room. I did that with Michael, but I don't. What do you do with that?
So you get room tone, and I usually do like a minute or two of it. So like all the sounds that you're talking about, you just filter all those sounds out, and then it's clean audio for the most part. It depends on
how do you filter it out.
I'll show you.
Okay,
later.
yeah, we're going the weeds with this, but
because
I originally thought that you would just reverse the wavelength, and then it would cancel each other out, because that's what I thought that noise canceling headphones did. But I'm not sure. But I'm like, yeah, there has to be a way.
Yeah, it's literally like you plug and play, and you're like, wow, yeah, it took out all the shit I don't want to hear.
I would love actually that. It's especially even here, like leaving this open and catching that noise and then getting rid of that.
Exactly.
We did that on our shoots. The one I did with Michael, and he got room tone. I never ended up using it because the denoiser worked really well. So I was like, okay, I don't really need it. And then we ran music too. Fuck, sorry guys, it's all technical.
It's all technical. We're getting into it. Yeah, that's actually ironic though, because I was gonna ask you, like, how often do you like address the audience? Are you just chatting with your friends, or are you like
every once
out
in a
here
while,
making jokes?
I think there are times, I learned this a little bit earlier, because like when I would have Lindsay on, we would just be like, we would start into a conversation without giving a backstory. And because we know the backstory, and then I would just be like, start talking. And then I realized when I was listening back, I'm like, nobody knows what the fuck we're talking
Yeah.
about. So in those situations, I'll be like, here, like, tell me the backstory again, just for people who listen. And that helps. Or if I think I have like, oh, that's clippable or whatever, like I'll be like, this is why you don't do this.
Yeah.
But I don't even have that camera anymore, so it's like there. But you know, if I have like, if I already know it's gonna be funny, and I'm like, and see, that's this, and so I'll do some of that shit. But I haven't done a lot of it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not even paying attention to them is the thing, you know?
Yeah, but I do like this. Like I said, eventually I'll go back to 3, and you get a more close like take of it, so you're almost like you're, I don't know. Doesn't I just like I was telling you before the podcast, but it's just like I've decided I'm like perfectionism is fucking crippling me. It is like holding me back so much, and I do think there is positives to perfectionism, but right now it has been just fucking like crippling me. I'm not getting anything out. I'm not doing the things I wanted or I wasn't. And I was like, I have to let this go. And I like it's gonna be a lesson I need to learn at some point. I might as well learn it now. And sometimes it's painful to just be like, fuck dude, that's grainy. Fuck that. I'm like, just like keep being consistent, put it out, you're figuring it out, you know. So but fuck, it's hard.
I know your breath with that. I feel you. I think the thing that taught me the biggest lesson on that is like when you're doing creative stuff for yourself and you have these goals, you're gonna nitpick everything and you're gonna get it perfect, and it might not come out, it might be late, whatever. But then when you start working for clients and you have to push that out, or like you're like, man, I wish I had one more day on this, but you have to get it done, that teaches you a huge lesson in just being like, yeah. And then they love it, or usually they love it.
Yeah.
And they don't see all the things that you saw because you're
exactly
looking at it
that's
too long.
that's the thing. Well, and also the better you get, it's just like the average person is not going to catch that little thing there, and that there has to be a balance of not just putting out mediocre work because they're not going to know, and we don't have to spend another 3 days on this to get rid of this one thing or like tweak this one thing to make it perfect. So you know, I do think there's a balance, but right now I have always been on the extreme on one side. So I really need to swing that pendulum on the other side, at least for my own shit. I get it. If you're paying me thousands of dollars, for sure, I'm going to make it really good. And that also, that thing is good, has always held me back with music. And my next foray into music, which I'm starting this year, I'm very committed also to not perfectionism. So I'm going to like buy tracks and just do vocals on them, you know, like, or buy tracks I like, tweak them a little bit, do vocals. I'm gonna play around with that. I'm gonna make some of my own stuff, and then maybe just buy the beats, but then put some, you know, piano or some guitar on. But I think I'm gonna try to do kind of that same thing where it's like create a deadline for, okay, I'm working on this song this month. I'm gonna work for, say, Fridays are my day to work on my music. I'm gonna do it on Fridays, but by the end of the month, I'm putting something out. Even if it's not done, I'm gonna share it. And then yeah, I can work on it more down the road, but like I just gotta share it. And I've noticed, and I'm not alone, all my musician friends are like this. It's just like we sit on it forever. And like, I mean, fuck, Jeremy's been playing these songs for ages, and he finally got on some recorder, but they're still not released. I'm like, dude, this is 10 years.
Yep.
And no offense, Jeremy, call out. But but like I do that too. I did that too. And I'm like, I don't want to start writing this year and then release them when I'm 50. Like, no, I want to just start putting shit out. So I'm gonna make a SoundCloud account, and then I'm just gonna start putting out. Maybe it's just a demo chorus. Just start putting shit out, and then if people react to it really well, then you're like, oh fuck, people like that one. Then I can spend some more time on it or something. So that's kind of my philosophy moving forward. Let's see if I stick to it, but because then you start like you get in the weeds, and then the perfection will be like, ooh, I can make that better.
You're in the dedication zone right now too, and maybe having an accountability buddy. Like I know you're pretty good at that with your friends too.
We did we had a 30-day group where for every day for this month, a few of us decided to do something each day. And my sister and I kind of like started this, and she wants to start writing poetry and stuff. And she is really fucking good. And it's crazy because I guess I haven't read a lot of her shit, but
Rude.
she sent me this poem and I was like, holy fuck, this is better than anything I've ever written. I was like, Lindsay, where the fuck did this come from? And she's like, she's like, I journal all the time. I've written for probably 10,000 hours already. And I was just like, I wasn't close to Lindsay when she was doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, that means so much. She's like, cause I always just like thought you were so much better than me. I'm like, dude, you're way better than me. Like, this is nuts. But she wants to get into more writing and actually putting stuff out. So she's doing like a poem a day. And then I wanted to start doing the live video for my YouTube channel. So like that was my goal. And then somebody else was like, oh, I want to post a photo every day. I was just like, no matter what, just like get in the habit of putting it. And so there's a few of us to do that. And that's kind of nice because we have a thread. And then we're like posting in the thread and like kind of checking in with each other and being like, here's my shit for today.
I love that.
That's helpful.
That's exactly it. Like it's difficult to do it yourself because you're gonna overthink it.
Fucking so hard. Oh my god. I was telling and then I'm doing 75 hard. Which is
talk about that. Like what is that? You're just doing jogging videos, you're like, I'm doing great, you all suck, it's cold outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shut up, Josh, I'm still in my bed. Leave me alone.
I discovered that when I was dude, I only ran for like the first 2 days, fucked on my knee, and so now I just walk. And I'm like, I should have just walked the whole time because it's like you can do any sort of exercise, it doesn't matter. But
outside,
one inside,
yeah.
45 each. And originally I was just gonna do it all inside, and then I like listened to guys' podcasts. I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it like he says. But I did. Speaking of like the videos, I was like, I want to start posting them because then that will keep me accountable. Because if I put them out there and then I fall off, people are gonna know. And if people know I failed, that's gonna embarrass me. And I don't want to be embarrassed again. So fuck you. I'm gonna keep doing it. You know. So like, it's definitely an ego thing, but that ego helps me stick with my shit. When it comes to shit like that.
You're putting it on the internet, and then, yeah, that's a specific level of accountability.
Yeah. And then so Sam gave me an idea. It was like, don't listen to anything when you go outside. Like, just spend time with your thoughts. He's like, you have elevated heart rate, your blood's flowing, so you're able to process things better and more efficient. So you can actually work through your own, like some of your own bullshit or whatever you're thinking about, which is true. And which I noticed, I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm like, I need time to like just think to myself and think about like, oh, how am I going to handle this? And that's where creativity comes from. Sometimes I'll have an idea. It's hard to have an idea when you're just listening to somebody else, like, and like soaking everything in. And so then if I have an idea, then I'm like, okay, it's the perfect time to just make a fucking TikTok. And then playing around with those do way better than like my podcast clips or, like
RIP TikTok. We only got like a couple more days on that.
What do you think about that? You think it's going? You think it's by?
I hope not.
You don't post on TikTok. You're just like you're a user.
I've posted a couple, but like, yeah.
You do the intravenous TikTok, right?
The what?
I love TikTok so much. I put it right in my veins.
Oh yeah, it's a dopamine feed for me, but also I have my algorithm is so spot on that like it's like I open it and I'm like, haha, haha. All right, thanks, guys. Like I love the internet so much.
Yeah. So yours is mostly funny shit.
Yeah,
I love that about TikTok.
Specific sides of TikTok. That's what I'm about for sure. And my feed is so good. It's just like, but like I used to do, I guess like I haven't done a lot of, like I haven't done any reviews or anything like that. Like I don't really put myself out there talking at people unless it's like, I used to do all the time, just like me talking in my car about just the weird shit that happens to me all the time. Yeah. And those were always the videos where like people will still come up to me and be like, are you gonna like talk to yourself in your car more, or like what? Or like just people that I didn't even know were looking at that would like talk to me about the stuff going on in my life. Yeah. And that cracked me up so much. And that was the only time where I was just like, yep, that's me bartending though. Like I get that out in that way now. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I put like a couple random TikToks out and I don't know. Yeah. I just like consuming.
Yeah. I had had steered away from TikTok because I already was addicted to like Instagram, Facebook, and I was like, I do not need another one of these. But
TikTok's better for
I do
sure.
appreciate that about TikTok. Was way more happy, way more funny and
Hmm.
weird, and Instagram's way more glamour focused.
Exactly. I'm on the weird TikTok.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I've obviously been talking to a few people about this, and it's like on top of mind now that it's like getting close, like the 19th or whatever. But I did see something somebody sent me about there might be an extension, just so that like once Trump gets in, it could change, and so they can work shit out. Who knows? I also like don't know. Like, I see both sides of the argument on this one, where it's just like I do understand why you wouldn't want China to be like have a massive control over the American minds. You want like you don't want any foreign government having massive control over American minds, right?
Hmm.
Like that seems a little bit counterintuitive as a nation state. Um, but I also think that most of our information is already out there, like as far as algorithm, and it's all for sale. It's like there's not that much privacy. But then I also see where it's just like, dude, this is one of the most free speech platforms, and
Hmm.
where people can post like their views on Palestine and Israel. You can't do that on other platforms. So it's just like, oh, they're trying to censor this shit and they can't control it. And so the government needs things that they can control. So that way would they explain the narrative, right? So
Hmm.
I can also understand that. And I'm like, fuck, also you're taking away people's livelihoods over this thing. And they probably let it get too big. If they were going to cancel it, they should have canceled it 8 years ago. I was like, why did you let some I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's a part of system where it's like America is not profiting on it, and there's a lot of drama with like all the back end intel and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody on TikTok is just like, we don't care, take our information. Like me personally, I'm like, my algorithm is sick.
Yeah.
I have some block filters, and also, what are you gonna do with that information? Make me nerd out on how good you're doing
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the information that I'm giving you? Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
And yeah, I
It's
would,
not a problem for me right now.
yeah. And I do think that most of it is like 98% of it is just like fun, silly shit. So who the fuck cares?
Or I'm learning really cool
Yeah.
shit. I'm laughing or I'm learning.
Yeah.
And that's what I use that app for. And I love helping people profit on that. But also, I nerd out on like the data of TikTok.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, there's a concern of like too many kids just being addicted to social media, but that goes across the board. Like, if you're going to like have rules on social media and
Hmm.
consumption, that needs to be across all platforms, not TikTok or whatever, But also, I don't know how you control that. It's just like when the TV first came out, you can't be like, hey, so America, you can only watch TV for 2 hours. Like, dude,
Hmm. We're
we've been stuck to
consuming.
devices for way longer than social media.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I think it's like Vine was fantastic. Everybody loved Vine.
yeah,
Got out by YouTube. And I feel like TikTok is a control thing where like China's never gonna let America buy TikTok, right?
right.
So I think it's more so like a control thing, a
Yeah.
control factor, because like YouTube is the top dog. That's why Vine went out. Now TikTok just like crushed it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's a little pee tapped by how good TikTok is now.
Yeah. It is crazy how much better it is than the other algorithms, from what I heard. Dude, there's this one thing. I don't know if I've ever told this on a podcast. Doesn't really matter, but I'll tell you anyway, because Cindy was dating this dude, and she didn't know what TikTok was. And so he was just like, she saw him on TikTok once. She's like, oh, yeah, it's like teenagers dancing. It's like 14-year-olds
That's what
dancing.
everybady's original perception was. Yeah.
Right. So then, like a year or two later, she's like looking at somebody else's TikTok, and it's like baking and stuff. And she's like, why? I thought it was just like kids dancing. She's like, no, what's like the algorithm feeds you what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then she realized that her ex was his algorithm was teenagers being
Yep.
like somewhat
Yep.
sexy dancing. And she's like, oh no. And I was like, holy fuck. I was like, that's actually a really good what do you call it when you like a filter when you meet a new person, you're like, let me see your TikTok.
I also do. Let me see your Instagram like feed. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
suggested.
exactly.
I want to. It's all titties or it's interesting shit. I do that to people all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me see that.
Yeah, mine has been like a bunch of AI titties lately. I'm like, they're hot. Fuck.
Stop looking at them so long. But yeah, also.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a like I do believe in like that transparency with anybody. I'm like, yeah, you can see like anything I'm into.
Well, for me, it's also like a joke. I'm like, let me see it. You know?
Yeah, yeah. But that is a really good way to like just take a peek into what you are interested in. And like for his, you're like, oh fuck, dude, I think that dude was attracted to teenage girls.
Yep.
Like, and
you're watching those videos too long.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think because I don't really have a TikTok algorithm because I never scroll. Or I don't think I do. But
you're not making the effort.
Yeah, my Instagram algorithm has definitely been more and more AI shit. And like, cause I'll click, I'm like, is that AI? And then I'll click it, and then I'm like,
they get me so much with that too.
And I was like, dude, these AI girls are hot. I was like, oh my god. And
but they also probably know you're a dude, so they're gonna feed you more of that.
Of course. But I have AI dudes too, because I'm into like I also like I watch a lot of fitness stuff. And so like I'll see like the fitness girls that always like show off their booties, and then I'll also see like ripped dudes. I'll see like fight stuff, and then I see a lot of like the talking heads like Hermosi, Chris Williams, like the podcasters.
Yeah.
So mine's a bit diverse, but I don't get like cooking shit. You know, I don't get. So I do think it is mostly things I'm interested in for sure. Like, and I'm like, yeah, you can get a little bit of a sense of what I like. I like tits and ass. I like muscular bros, and I like fucking Theo Vaughn. Yeah,
I think but my TikTok is all over the place, but also there's sometimes where like I start getting into something too long, and then I'm like, no, oh, that's gonna be I watched it too long. That's gonna be my whole feed now.
Dude.
So I have to catch myself on that sometimes too. Like, you know, they'll wrap you into like some mystery or like police video, and then I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Especially when you're like, I'm into this one time, but I don't want to keep seeing this. So I'm like, okay. Like then when they start showing it to you, I'm like, nope, I don't want to keep seeing this shit. So I know how to quick scroll to like, okay, I need you to start getting rid of that. Dude, there was this one time, Sid and I were looking at porn, and I saw this fucking weird ass video, and I don't know like what we were looking for, but it was over on the right, and I was like, dude, what the fuck is that? And it looked really creepy.
It's hard to not make that mistake.
And I was just like, dude, I kind of want to see what that is. And it was like, because it was like this big black dude, and it looked like he had a bunch of dolls with him. But I was
you're
like,
just trying to, you're like, we're trying to like hype up right now, but just let me wreck the mood for a second because we got to get weird.
She was like, dude, you should click it. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I should click on that. So I'm like, fuck it. I click on it, and it's this dude fucking these little dolls, and like one's like this big and one's like this big, and it's really creepy and weird. And then I was like, oh no, now my algorithm's fucked. Oh fuck. And thank God it like just the one video didn't fuck it up. But I was like, God damn it, now this shit's gonna be popping up all over my shit.
But now neither of us can unsee that, so thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, you didn't actually see it, so
yeah, I saw it in my brain. I'm very creative in here, so
so back to I'll tell you what 75 hard is, or like the systems of it. So 75 days, 2-a-day workout, 1 inside, 1 outside, drink a gallon of water, do a diet. The diet can be your choice. And then read 10 pages of a nonfiction book.
Nice. All right.
Take a progress picture every day. Am I missing one? I think that's no alcohol. Like absolutely no alcohol. What's crazy, it doesn't say no drugs, and I wasn't gonna do that anyway. But yeah, it is funny that it didn't say no drugs, but I feel
it's
like
pitched to the normies. It sounds like.
I know,
but it's still a good routine.
Which so I'm like into that, and then I added on the live video because that's what I really wanted to commit to, doing something every day. But dude, it's just like fuck the time commitment. I think that's like the biggest. It's just like planning and making sure I get in, and I feel like I'm pretty apt to do it because I only work 3 shifts a week, and so I don't have a lot of commitments unless I take on some big film project, which I'm gonna have to just figure out. Like I can only do 8-hour days. If I do, so I'm just like, dude, I have to get this in. Like I'm committed to it, but so far I haven't. We'll tackle that when it comes. But I'm going to Vegas next weekend, so that I won't mind the no drinking. I'm already committed to that, but it's more like, okay, I got to make sure I get the workouts in somewhere else, drink enough water, especially on flying days. I'm like, I either have to do it when I get there, or if I fly early, or if I fly late, get it before. All that shit. That's just like, it's really annoying. But there is this strange sense of like, I feel very accomplished. I'm just like, fuck yeah. Like,
Absolutely.
and I've only done 2 weeks, which is not that much, but yeah.
But I've seen you crush that. Like you, when you commit to something in this capacity, I've always seen you go hard on it.
I don't know why I've gotten good at that, but I have. But it's just like, yeah, I'm doing it. So I guess I do well with challenges. And so that really helps me. And I think it's like a competitive thing I have, like,
Within yourself,
yeah.
especially.
But like the thing that I'm still working on long term is balance when I'm not on one, because I just go off the fucking deep end.
I work hard and then I play hard.
Yeah.
And I haven't found the middle either, like you were saying.
Fuck, dude. I did that like contract that ended in Thanksgiving where I was doing 15 drinks a week. And that again, I was able to stick with, but because I had a punishment of I owed $1,000 if I fucked up. And so that really helped me find a balance during that time. But I did find myself thinking about alcohol all the time because I was just like, oh, fuck, I want to drink today. But if I drink now, then I can't. So I was just constantly thinking about alcohol. Now I don't even think about it, like for the most part, because it's just like, it's off table.
Habit. Yeah.
But as soon as I went off it and I went into Christmas break, dude, I was drinking so much every fucking day, just like drinking. I was like, yeah, I got to do something again in January. I'm going off the deep end. So I got to figure that out still. I don't know.
You're the same person in that way, so I don't know how to help you there.
Did you do any New Year's fucking resolutions /
So my New Year, so last year, I think it was like the end of 2023. I was actually sitting with Rashad and the like spacebar owner that that caused all the bad drama at Mulligan's. Yeah. And Rashad was like, all right, let's play the question game, which I love. Like, I love, we're not really strangers. I always do question card games with people when I'm hanging out with friends because I love to like get to know people intimately.
That is smart. I've never done that, but that's smart.
I'll have to bring that the next time we hang out, but it's just like, my favorite thing about those games is it like opens up a level of like questions that you don't think to ask to people. And it brings up a lot of stuff where like you can build into different aspects of those questions. Like it brings up other questions. It's just like so connective. And Rashad was like, let's play the questions game. And I was so tired, but I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then his question was like, what was the hardest part of the last year for you? And I was like, fuck you. Like, let's talk about good stuff. I always am the friend that like directs into positive conversation, or like, I want to hear like the weirdest animal facts you have when people are starting to get negative. So I was just like, okay, I'll answer it, but I got to think about it for a while. So both of them said, ultimately ended up being like, yeah, it's finances, which was also a huge struggle for me. But I was like, I want to go deeper than that.
Right.
So I sat on it and I thought about it. And because I have been such a dedicated workaholic for so long, I was like, I am so deeply lonely. And I'm lonely in a way where it's like, I need connection. I need friends. I've always kind of been a terrible friend because I've always worked instead of spending time with people. It's like a level of discipline or comfort, I guess, where it's like, it's hard to be open and connective. I always take care of people, but at a distance. Like I'm the person that shows up if you are having a real bad day, but I'm not the everyday friend.
Yeah.
And I want to practice that. Like I was like, I want real friends. I want real intimate connections. And I really achieved that 2024. And then I was so tired. I was like, oh my God, it's really tiring to have friends all the time. I love my friends. I love having good relationships, but damn.
Yeah.
So this year, I think my thing is like,
no friends.
Well, it's like a balance where I need to realize who and where to focus. And actually, literally just the other night, my coworker Happy, who's one of the best bartenders in Boise, I was so socially exhausted at work this past weekend because I always will be the person that gives everything of myself to people. Like, I am entirely myself all the time. A huge goal of mine has been like, I can't control people's perspectives of me. And that's also like one of the hardest lessons I've learned. But I was like, I want to be the person where when people talk about me, they're like, she is so genuine, so sweet, and she will take care of you. Maybe a little weird, but she funny.
Yeah.
And like the past couple of years, that's all like people that I don't know are like, I've heard nothing but good things about you. And I'm like, that's who I am inside and out, and that's who I want to be. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm so tired all the time. So I was so socially burnt out this past weekend because just so much like I will get sucked into everything that needs to be taken care of. Like if I go out for a night, it always ends up with me mothering everybody.
Yeah.
And Happy was like, well, here's the thing. You have to genuinely recognize your value. And I was like, he was like, value your time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're right. And I guess I've never thought about it that way because I think about like, you know, this person deserves this from somebody. But like, I have to learn how to cut away from a lot of situations where it's like, I get so sucked into taking care of people. And there has to be a point where I'm like, I don't want to be an asshole, but also like, my friends hate me right now for not focusing on them. Let me cut away so I have time for my friends and to focus on that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my 2024 goal is really just that. Like, I really like who I am, but I want to be a better person for the people that mean the most to me.
Yeah.
This year.
Do you that's amazing. I mean, I definitely struggle with that. I don't know if I struggle as much as you do with it, but it is a balance. Do you schedule your time at all?
So I've tried that, but also my biggest thing is like I'm so genuinely unmedicated ADD.
Yeah.
And I'm also such a night owl. Like I wake up at night,
Right.
and a lot of my close friends are like they have kids or they're goal oriented or like they go to bed when I'm just barely waking up.
Sure. So I was thinking of maybe you've already thought of how you're gonna like attack this, but I was just listening to a podcast from Mark Manson about setting goals and stuff, but it's like you have to be detailed if you want to like achieve a certain result. And so to detail that out a little bit, you could have a commitment and be like, look, I need to at least like put a window of say it's 5 hours, say it's 10 hours. You create a certain thing and like this is me time, and I'm gonna spend time with my cat. I'm gonna whatever you want to do that is your recharge or whatever. You set that and you're like, I want this once a week, and like nobody can touch this time. This is mine. And then you'll then have that kind of rhythm. You're like, I have my me time, you know. That's just one idea that I had. My friend Sammy, she I don't know if she's still doing it, but I texted her one day and then she got back to me the next day. I'm very used to that with a lot of people, like you, normally like a month later. But in general, like if you train people to get like if you don't get back to them as quickly, then they just understand. Oh yeah, Josh doesn't always get back to me right away, and it doesn't bother people. It's when you get back right away all the time, and then all of a sudden you're distant. Then they're like, "What the fuck, dude?" You know. So, but she like got back to me like 2 days later, and she's like, "Hey, sorry, I actually started doing this thing on Sundays where I don't touch my phone." And
that's my Sunday thing too, actually.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's beautiful. Like I haven't even got there yet, but I would like to eventually get to that spot where it's just like, and then if I make a plan, like if I'm gonna be with Cinda, we already need to plan that out because I'm like phone's locked away. Or if I'm not, be like, hey, I'm not. You won't be hearing from me. Like to somebody who's used to me texting every day. I don't really think I need to do that with anyone else but her. But so something like that, and it doesn't have to be a whole day or whatever. But then you're just like, yeah, this is my time. And then you also don't have to even hear requests if you're not on your phone. But I don't know. I think that people, if you're a person who can't respect the fact that somebody needs to have recovery time in their own time, then you're an asshole and you probably shouldn't be like, they shouldn't be in your life as much anyway, if they're that much of a, like, if they can't see that you also need your own energy, you know?
Yeah, I feel like people that know me and that I'm close to, like they understand who I am as a person, and they make a lot of jokes about it. She'll be late. We tell her 30 minutes before she's supposed to show up, which
Yeah.
I hate. So like I'm trying to work on those aspects of myself. Or like if somebody's like, "Do you want to hang out?" I need to actually show up to hang out with them.
Yeah.
But that is totally about schedule. I've always been like opposed to my personal life schedule because
Mm.
I was so invested. Like I put everything of myself into work. I'm now at a point in my adult life where I'm like, I do actually have to make a schedule and I want to have rewards and goals and nights where it's like, I have so many ideas for friend hangouts. Like, come over and let's do some art shit. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Do you know Ben Sanchez?
I do.
He loves art nights.
Yep. I love having been over.
We should you should invite me next time that he does it. We did an art night at Cinder's house. He is one of like of all my artist friends, like I was telling you, like I think Jeremy is he's always playing music. Like he truly loves music and he's playing all the time. Ben is one of those dudes like constantly making art. And like he's a guy who like I'm like, I can't believe Josh, you call yourself an artist because you like to make art once every couple weeks or when you're feeling it. Ben literally like wants to do it all. He's like, let's make art. Let's play, let's draw this. Let's do
Yep.
this. And he doesn't even care about like the medium or whatever. He's so into it. It's very beautiful.
Ben's done most of Tavis's tattoos, and every time I've hung out with Ben, like if I know he's coming over, I already have all the art shit out because he's the art friend.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of friends like that that are disciplined or like with the people that I hang out with, like they have their little things and they're interesting and creative, and like that's the energy I want to be around because it kind of creates that in myself where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hang out with this person. We're gonna do a specific artistic thing, and it's a practice and inspiration. But yeah, Ben.
Yeah. Shout out Ben. I have this is something that I think about a lot. When I quit the bar, I saw my friends less, and I felt guilty when I was seeing friends because I'm like I'm not working. What I notice about like working at the bar is I get to see my friends more because a lot of them are Rudy's regulars.
Yep.
And
Same.
and I don't want that to be the only times that I hang out with them, which then frustrates me. I'm like, dude, I can't just have this transactional relationship, and so I'll try to go into the bar sometimes when I'm not working to be like, hey, let's kick it.
Yeah.
But I have discovered that it's impossible to do one-on-one times with every friend, say every week, like or even every month. Like it's just impossible. And being popular is hard.
I was gonna make fun of you. Yeah, it's I know a lot of people, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is like I want to be friendly. I want to have all these friends and genuinely call them my friends, but also like I have to start focusing on the people that are the most important parts of my life and that level of friendship.
Yeah. So the 5 friend rule. Like, yeah.
You are who you're surrounded with.
Yeah. So that's something that I have to constantly like refresh and try to think, okay, who are those 5 people that are building me up, that are inspiring me, that every time I hang out with them, I'm like, holy fuck, I'm like excited to do the things that I love, right? Or that challenge me, or like holy fuck, like that conversation was so good. Who are those people? And to me, I don't necessarily think it has to be a number 5, but it's like about that, right? I also believe that doesn't mean you like other people that don't give that to you. That doesn't mean they're like not valuable or that there's something wrong with them. It's just like, oh, I just need less of them and more of the people that are actually like really bringing me to my highest self, right? And I constantly slip into like the more convenience of oh, I've just been hanging around with this person because like I'm around them all the time or whatever, right? You do that, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you're not intentional with it, you like slip into just kind of like what am I doing, and then you're like, oh fuck, I haven't even thought about this other person because I'm just kicking it with him. But I do like the idea of group gatherings because if you have a lot of friends, that's a way first off to like introduce other friends. And I that's one of my most excited, like, or I get excited about, like, dude, you got to meet my friend Julie. Like, you would love her. Like, And then when you bring them together, and if they do start hitting it off and then they become friends, you're like, I put them together and it
Yep.
makes me happy. And then also when they hang out, they might invite me, and then I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I'm
cool.
gonna hang out with multiple of my
Yeah,
friends.
exactly. So I mean, I take that idea with girls. Obviously, I'm like, oh, this girl's hot and fun. I'm like, you guys should hang out together, and then we can all bang.
Nice.
But that philosophy is also with friends. Like, yeah, then we all get to kick it. So I have been trying to do that more, and then the same with like hanging out with Cinda, where it's just like I can't just hang out with Cinda exclusively these 3 nights and then hang out with my other friends these 4 nights. Now I still have no time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Versus I should be like, oh, I hang out with Cinda this one night, then me and her go hang out with these friends this night. Now I still have time to hang out by myself, which
Mhm.
I fucking need. I
I
need
need
like
it
2 to
really
3
bad, yeah.
nights. Yeah. But it is that, yeah, it's a fucking tricky balance. I don't know if you ever remember, you remember when I like sent you that voice memo like 2 years ago?
Oh God, what was it? Do I still have it?
I don't know, but I was just telling you like how much I appreciated you and our friendship and blah blah blah
Oh,
blah
ew.
blah. I did that to a lot of people, but I literally was like, I want to write out all my friends and figure out like who is really important to me. And then I was like, I want to start learning to invest. My sister like really taught me how to invest heavily into people,
That's a great
and
word
it
for it too.
really did help a lot of my friendships like blossom just that initial first touch. Then they started reaching out to me, and then like we started creating this like just a stronger bond.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like then you're just like, holy fuck, I have all these people who love me and I love them, and I'm like, there's definitely not enough time in the day. So it is very fucking tricky to figure out how to not let people fall through the cracks. But having it written down was helpful, and I have been thinking about like looking over that again. So I was like, fuck, dude, I haven't actually checked that, but I meant to do it like a once a month thing, dude. Like just kind of look through my people and be like, oh
Mhm.
fuck, I haven't reached out to them. Be like, hey, dude, I was thinking about you, like how you been, or just something simple.
Yeah.
But that kind of helped me a lot.
I've been trying to get better about that too. Like, my friends know that I love them, but they also know that I'm a bad texter communicator.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like you and our friendship. We're like, we haven't seen each other in forever, but as soon as we're around each other, we're just like back at it.
Mhm.
Like, those are really rad connections to have, and it's honestly like kind of rare for me.
Yeah.
But a lot of people know me well enough, and like you and me situation where it's like I'll see her eventually, but like when we hang out, it's gonna be fun and meaningful, and
Yeah.
we just pick it right back up.
I feel like that. I do think that that's a more masculine trait too. Like that's like the dude in you, because I do notice that like a lot of girls that like they get upset if their friend hasn't talked to them in a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, people are busy. Like it's fine, but like I like most of my guy friends, if I do go 6 months, and then I'm like, dude, I fucking miss you. I haven't seen you. Like nobody has hard feelings.
Yeah.
We're like, oh fuck, I miss you, dude. We got to do this more, and that's like how it is. And I do love that, where it's just like, yeah, it doesn't like people do get busy. People do have their own problems. They get their own struggles. And I mean, like, and then you also have to take periods like, dude, I got to work on myself. I do like when people like just blast it on social media, like, hey, I'm going to be absent for a bit. If
Yeah.
you need something, hit me up. But like, I'm in this mode, or I need some space, or I need some me time, or whatever.
Yeah, big ADD thing apparently is like if somebody isn't right in front of you, you just like or if something's not right in front of you or somebody, you just it's not there.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in my life know that like they know I'm gonna be at work or whatever. They just show up and I'm like, oh my god, the text that you sent me 3 weeks ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk
yeah.
about that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm totally a girl's girl in a way that I'm still practicing female friendships, but I learned like pretty late in life, like maybe a couple years ago, ago, girls text each other like every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
You're like, whoa.
Whoa, man. I want girlfriends, but man.
Yeah. See, that's why I always felt like I wanted to have multiple girlfriends, like lovers, because I don't have the time and energy to text you every day, so then they can text each other every day.
Yeah, make that connection.
Yeah, that is a hard thing navigating. Like I personally believe for myself that I want to be like, you know, that Joe Rogan is like one of my idols as far as podcasting, but I love also how he's built like a community of comedians. I'm like, dude, that guy has to feel fucking stretched. Like the
Mhm.
amount of really good friends that rely on him and want his attention all the time. Like, so he has to have a way to figure that out. And I do, like, I want to be that person, like the glue in a
Yeah.
community. Like, I consider myself a connector of sorts, and just being like, I want to, and I like filling that role. I find like a lot of joy and meaning in like in connecting like strong people and
Same.
people that inspire each other. But I felt this Christmas, I felt a very like big heaviness, because I like didn't have enough like mental capacity to like reach out to people.
Mhm.
And I knew that some people were having really shitty Christmases and I couldn't get to everybody. And then I the next day I just was like riddled with guilt. I'm like, fuck, dude, I didn't do a good enough job of like checking in and making sure people felt loved and affection. And then I was just like, dude, this is hard.
Mhm.
But also you signed up for it. This is like what you want. So you do have to work on figuring out ways to um like bring in people and make sure they feel loved, but also like carving out space for yourself and make sure they understand, you need your own time, etc.
Yeah, that's like the biggest struggle with me and my partner lately is like he sees me give all of this to everybody, and then he watches me not have like I have to reel myself back because I'm like I'm not focusing on my partner, and I'm
Yeah.
then just crashing, and then I'm not having enough time for myself. So this year I think is about finding that balance, like
Yeah.
I and bridging gaps and connections, and just like being a good person, but making sure my energy is spent in the right ways, in the right directions,
Yeah.
and on the right people.
Did you ever think about cloning yourself? That could be something.
No, that's actually twins, like identical twins. I've thought about like, what if one of the twins is like, oh, I'm ugly. What a diss, like that's too much stress.
That would be. Ooh, I have an idea. Why don't you start kind of like a pay to play for your friendships? So if you wanted to be in your inner circle, they need to start paying, say, like $100 a month. So now if you have 20 friends, now you don't need to work so much
Hmm.
because you got 2 grand coming in, and you actually have the time to give them, and you're not burnt out at work because you're getting paid for your friendships.
That's more so like working with your friends that works out because then you're getting paid to play with each other.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't charge my friends for my time. It's just more so dudes at the bar that are weird to me, and I'm like, oh, that was weird. Give me $20 because I hated that, and they'll be like, okay,
That's funny.
yeah.
That's good. Dude, it is crazy, speaking of that, how easy it is for, I don't know if it's always easy, but just to ask for money, and certain guys are just like, okay.
I have trained a lot of bartenders and women on it, and I have so many stories about that. But like, I don't know where that level of confidence came into me. It was just like I think like when you and I first met, also like I am half loaded into the matrix. Really, I'm 21. I'm fresh at a bar,
Yeah.
and I love that like our connection started so like silly to where it has developed now, where like I would consider you one of my closest friends that I could always reach out to. Like I always talk of you highly. We had so much fun
Yeah.
together. And I was so shy and like just not loaded yet. And now I am like just I have no filter, and I just bully people and get money out of weird men all the time. It's so much fun. And then I train people on that. Like I'm like, hey, wait a second. This guy's being a dick. Give me a second. Yeah, that was a really stupid comment. And actually, I only accept cash for that. Or like, we
Yeah.
could fight, or I accept cash. What do you want?
Dude.
Like this guy. I have so many door guy stories from 10th Street because that was kind of my end. I'm the door guy there. And my biggest flex, I always like when I was at Spacebar, my door guys didn't deal with anything. It was a call mom thing.
Mm.
It was if I get in between it, it's gonna get worked out. If a dude's there, someone's gonna get punched.
Yeah.
Ironically, at 10th Street, I've been hit a couple times by dudes,
No way.
but I also fights all the time. It's so crazy. But I love
Really?
other bars downtown know this about me too because sometimes like the door guys will let me handle it for fun. But like, I love making dudes talk about their emotions. I see both sides of the story. I like get those. I break it up. I break it down. Like, if dudes are really hyped up and testosterone is there, I'm like, hey, stop it. Put your jacket back on. It's cold outside. Stop yelling at him. It's dumb. Say something more clever. Or like, if they're really getting into it, I'll be like, listen, if you want to schedule a duel, I have a piece of paper. You write your numbers down. We do it later. But right now, you're being emotional. And my favorite thing after like decompressing a situation is to make grown ass men out loud say, I'll be like, okay, so can we just say like you're kind of being a silly goose? And I shit you not, like 100 times, dudes will be like, you're right, I'm kind of being a silly goose. And I'm like, all right, that's okay, because we have big emotions. It's gentle parenting. I'm like, you have big emotions. I understand your emotions. You're valid. We're gonna work it out.
Dude, that's hilarious.
And then sometimes dudes will just punch me right in the chest. So there's nothing you can do when that happens.
Somebody just punched you in the chest. Is it like after you told them to stop something, or is it just?
Yeah, like I'm trying to be silly sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work out. 90% of the time it works out though.
I've never been hit. I think I want to keep it that way.
Yeah. I break it down. I'm like, nobody's getting punched today.
Yeah.
But then you come to a point, and that's the biggest thing that like working at an actual dive bar has taught me is a level of like, I give and I'm so like chill and funny. And then there comes a point where you're like, okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed my time at gyms a little bit for that, because I did realize I was way too gentle and way too people pleasery. And I felt myself like, oh, I need to like really just be like a fucking dick.
Which I hate doing, but like sometimes it's all that works.
Yeah, but it's because it's so different than Rudy's. Rudy's is so regular centric. I'm like, I'm
Yep.
always gonna be gentle. I'm always gonna like, even if I'm annoyed, I'll just be like, yeah, for sure, because I want you to keep coming back. There's no like, I don't want you to leave forever. You're part of my livelihood. Versus gyms, just like next, like I don't give a fuck. But yeah, I didn't realize that 10th was like as much of a dive bar as that, because I thought it was like a lot of server centric.
It definitely is. It's a great like community bar.
Yeah.
But the weekends are crazy. Like I never know what to expect.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's fun. That's why I love bartending. I love the chaos. I love the variability. But damn, yeah, dudes have emotions, and my favorite thing is like sometimes when I have to like kick people out or like aggressively physically remove them, they don't take me seriously for a second, and then they do, and then they turn around and they're like, can I get your number though? And I'm like, are we being for real right now? Like, that's something that like, if a dude stepped into that situation, like, again, they're getting punched. Like, those guys are up, mad.
Right.
I bring them down. We talk about feelings. I'm removing them. And then they're like, oh, nobody actually talks to me about my feelings and who I am as a person. So.
Yeah. Is that when you were like, dude, that's silly. You owe me $50.
Yeah. I actually like have people train. Like this guy the other night started IDing people at the door. And I like was away from the door for a second. He grabbed this guy's ID. I saw it. I ran over there. I was like, hey. Oh, come on. I was like, I'm so sorry about that, guys. I gotta look at him again. I don't know what this guy's doing. And then the guy was like, I was just helping you out. They were valid. And I was like, listen, you have a full Modelo. All your friends are here. They're giggling right now, but I'm gonna be real serious with you. I didn't like that. Gentle parenting, right? I'm like, didn't like that. I want you to stay, but man, that's your first strike.
Yeah.
And he straight up goes, do you want to make out? And I was like, ooh, man, that just skipped you to your third strike. So now, how are we going to fix it? And he was like, rock, paper, scissors. And I was like, okay, sure. Rock, paper, scissors. If I win, you give me $20. If you lose, you leave. And you don't get to finish that Modelo.
Yeah.
But rock, paper, scissors, because I'm a psychology nerd, is my favorite thing to do with drunk people.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I got it. $20. Or like all the time. I make
I feel
money.
like you get up that to 50 instead of making it.
I know. I tried, and then I was like, yeah, I don't have the energy. But like, that's my favorite thing to do is like walk around, sass people, and people just give me money all the time. Or like, I'll go out now and they'll be like, 10th Street girl. And I'm like, oh no, what did I do?
Yeah.
What weird shit did I say to you? But I love walking up to the bartenders when I'm literally just working the door, talking to people, having just acid trips of conversations with people.
Yeah.
And then I just hand them money for the tip pool.
Dude, have you ever considered being a fin dom?
A fin dom?
Is it a financial dominant?
No, see, I like to have fun with it occasionally, but I'm so grossed out by men that I can't do it.
Yeah, that you've
Like
got
I
to.
sold my socks one time. That
Yeah,
was
you tell them
fun.
you're grossed out by them, and then be like, "Pay me money for being so gross."
Yeah, I need a bar barrier to do that though. I can't do
Yeah,
it like really just out in the world.
yeah,
Bar barrier, I'm so sassy. They'll say something stupid to me, or like when they come in the door, I'm like, oh, now that's $20. And
yeah.
it always works. I had people trained every time they came in because they said one weird thing to me one time. They just walk in, give me $5. I'm like, yeah,
Nice.
sick.
Yeah, there's like certain things about females. I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm so jealous that of certain things.
Well, it's
I don't
just,
want to
I'm
be a
not being a
female.
dick. It's just funny.
Yeah.
I'm taking the empowerment back.
Hmm. Oh, for sure. I also think that like if you're a girl and you ask somebody for money and they give it to you, like that is on them. Like if they're going to complain about it, then don't give her the money. Like you're the one who gave the money. And I do feel like there's so many guys that it's just like they give money and they're just like, oh, maybe she'll like me better if I blah 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 blah
Oh no,
blah
I
blah.
call that out too. I'm like, I'm not gonna like you better,
Yeah,
but like I'm telling you right now, you're annoying me, and if you want to give me $20, it might help.
yeah,
But I'm being funny about it. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
being like, oh, I'm like some bitch. I'm just like being my weird, awkward self, and it works.
One time, I don't think you can do this anymore, but I don't think you can ask for money on Tinder, but you used to be able to.
Oh, really?
And I was telling my friend Ivy about this, and she was in the airport, and it was like Thanksgiving or something, and we had already had a conversation. I'm like, dude, just like go. This was when she was single, and I was like, go on Tinder, just like ask for money. I bet you'll get some money. And so she was in the airport. She's like, in the airport during Thanksgiving, I need money to drink, and just started swiping on
Yep.
Tinder and made like $85 in an hour.
See, I
I
think
was
that's
like,
hilarious. I don't have the level of confidence for that because again, that's out in the world.
yeah. I don't know. You've gotten a lot confident, more confident.
I like confident and comfort combined, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just like my frontal lobe developed, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm a real person.
Yeah. I definitely have gained a lot of confidence over the years. And there's this one girl at work. She's like, dude, I wish I had half the confidence of you. And I was like, I don't know, give it 20 years. Like, it's just develop. I mean, you do have to work on it, but sometimes I'm like, dude, I should not be as confident for how broke I am. Like, this is bad, but I don't know. I'm like, I think it's like my belief in future
Yeah,
that gives me
absolutely.
confidence, I guess. And then, also the proof is in the pudding if you just carry yourself confident. Like I know the attributes I have that are good and I believe in those. And so
Hmm.
that's enough to give me confidence and then I can fake some of the rest, you know. But uh I wanted to tell you one other thing. Oh, about fights. And like so I've never been in a fight. I've broken up a couple and I've definitely kicked out some people. And I do pride myself on being like a
I'm a de-escalator. That's
de-escalator.
the most important thing. Yeah.
And like there was this one dude at a Torch one time, and he had a teardrop tattoo, and he was being super sweet to me at first, and then he like just started bothering these people, and he was like bragging about his gun, and he started like creeping them out, and they're like, dude, like we're uncomfortable, and then Bob wasn't there. Normally Bob's great at fucking taking care of shit. And normally, like he'll de-escalate a little, but then also he just snaps. Like, get the fuck out! And I've seen him just like turn full rage mode. I was
That's
like,
all 10th
damn,
Street
Bob.
coworkers, and they'll throw that out, and then they'll be like, "Sorry, that guy was bothering you," and I'm like,
Yeah. Bob came back in one time.
"Oh
He was like,
my
sorry, you
god."
guys had to see that. And
Yeah,
I was like, no,
exactly.
Bob. I'm
They
like,
just
I'm
like,
hard right now.
yeah.
Holy
I'm like,
shit.
god damn.
But I know that I don't have the fight skills to back it up. And I also like, that's just not in my nature. But I was like very proud of myself for, it was just me and then Chris, the DJ. And I was like, dude, like, let me try to take care of this before it like gets violent. And I just like, I pulled his friend aside. I'm like, hey man, like I think he was in the bathroom. So I'm like, we
Call
gotta
a
kick your
friend.
friends out. I was just like, will you help me just get them out peacefully? Like, you guys are fine. It's just like, it's getting a little too much. And he's like, oh, for sure, man. So then I went over, like, he went over, I went over. I'm like, dude, it's just like, we got too many. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. I was like, dude, you're okay. And I like, I put my hand, I was like, you're
Yep.
okay. You just have to go tonight. Like, come back tomorrow. And then like we're talking, I was like, hey man, thank you so much. Oh, I didn't mean to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, dude, you're all good. Like you just gotta go right now. And then his friend like came back in and had another drink. He's like, dude, that was pretty smooth. And I was just like, hell yeah. And I'm like, I don't like either that teardrop is fake and you or have the balls on you to put it on being fake, or it's real and I don't want to fuck with you, you know? So
Yeah.
either way, I'm like, I'm a little terrified. I don't want to piss this guy off. So I want to like do my best to just keep it civil, you know?
Yeah. De-escalation is a key.
Yeah. So far I haven't been hit. I have to pee again, but
All right, good.
when I met you, I'll tell you how I remember it.
Oh yeah, for the audience, we'll go back and forth here. For the audience, Josh and I have been friends for 8 years now.
Yeah, 8. Is it 8?
About 8 years, yeah.
I was gonna say 9, but maybe it's 8. Because I was thinking I was
8.5.
30 and you were 21.
Mm-hmm.
And you're what? You're
29.
29, I'm 30. So yeah, we're probably 9.5 apart. Yeah. We met at the Reef. I really don't remember like how I approached you, but you do, which is funny. But you were shooting photos at it's like some
concert
show,
photography,
right?
is what I was into. But also like I'm 21 and I'm still in that phase of like I think if you meet a girl and she's like attractive and then she also has a personality, it's like the hot crazy scale in a way, but it's like you meet a girl and like as a girl I'm intimidated by women. I'm so scared of like hot girls because I'm like, one of my favorite comedians recently was like, teach me how to be a hot girl. Like, I don't know how you're going, and you're like so cute and you're so hot. So I'm terrified of women, but I love women. And I love meeting women where it's like, why are you cool? Trauma or you were ugly in high school. And I was like not popular in high school. And also,
you're like, I got both.
Also trauma. So I was like still in the phase of like getting used to like being at bars and being out and like being approached by dudes in general.
Yeah.
And I again like hadn't fully loaded into the world, so like I didn't really know how to interact in those spaces because I always thought I was a bro, and then dudes are approaching me like, "Oh, you're a hot young girl," kind of thing, and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah. I remember. I was in a phase of my life. I do think those things are true. Whereas most hot girls that are also cool did not grow up hot or they have trauma. Or I also think that potentially there is the brothers. Like if you're surrounded by brothers that are like they tend to be more down to earth and chill. But yeah, and I did used to think that like all the really hot girls were just fucking cunts. And I don't feel that way at all anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, there are some, but yeah, I don't. But I remember meeting you, but I was in a mindset. I had just turned 30 and I literally thought like my youth was over.
Ooh.
And I remember feeling like, because I was still I think I just built my house, but I was just like, it didn't have a lot going for me. And I feel like I missed out on youth because of like the cult and growing up religious. And I didn't.
I love that you call it the cult.
Yeah. But so I was just like, fuck, like I still have a lot of like living and experience to do. And I feel like I missed out because I didn't have the high school years, I didn't have the college years, I didn't have the early 20s. And I was like, dude, I'm too old. Like there's like I'm not gonna be able to get like a younger hot girl to be interested in me. And I remember, I don't know exactly remember how I approached you, but you were taking photos and so we started talking and you go, how old are you? And I had this split second, I was like, I think I'm gonna lie. Yeah, and I just had that natural instinct. I'm like, dude, don't tell her you're 30, you're gonna lose it. Like she's clearly a decent amount younger than you. And this was like, nah, fuck it. It was like a very split second decision, but I was like, I'm 30. And then you were just like, oh, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, what? You're like, I swore I wouldn't date anybody that was in their 20s ever again or something like that. I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm so happy I went with the truth, you know?
Yeah.
That was.
I think like your pull in the situation was hilarious, and I didn't know how to interact like to people approaching me or like dudes hitting on me yet at all. because it was still like a what you're talking to me thing,
Yeah.
and I didn't have any kind of level of sass in the way that I do now. But it was more so like a thing where like I talked to my brother about this recently, but I was like, I've always been around adults,
Mm.
and all of my friends have always been like 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
So being around people my age is like I've gotten more into that, and it's always a relief to meet people that are my age where I'm like I don't feel like they're babies.
Yeah.
And that's not like an egotistical thing. It's just like I don't know. So I was like, oh, great, 30. Like that's a age where you've developed some kind of personality and maybe
Yeah.
I'll talk to you kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I mean, it is very true across the board that most men are more immature at a younger age than women. So to find somebody, even just on the maturity level, it's at least a few year gap.
Mm-hmm.
I always just joke about being immature for my age, but I I do think that there are like there's like phases of life that people are in, and like if you're in a phase of like, oh, I want to get married and have kids, you know, say it's like 28 or 20, it doesn't really matter, but like there's like a sedentary phase that people get into,
Yep.
and they're like, yeah, I'm not looking for an immature person who can't, you know, who just wants to have fun. I'm looking for stability. And I definitely typically am not in that phase. I'm not looking for, I don't want kids, I don't want marriage. So I do gravitate towards a youthful energy
Yeah,
and people like
absolutely.
who want to have some fun, who, and I obviously am a partier. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want some boring, stuck up fucking person who's just like, oh, I don't do that anymore. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, cool, boring, you know.
Or
So
it's like a one of my like biggest I don't necessarily want to say pet peeves, but like it's this societal standard where like when you hit a certain age, you're supposed to be hitting certain goals.
mm-hmm,
And I think like as we've developed in the last even like 10 years, that's kind of been pushed off the expectation of being like, you know, when you're 25 or whatever, you should be like graduated from college, you should have a serious job, and then you need to get married, and then you need to buy a house, and like
mm-hmm,
all that. That's really boring to me. I feel like I'm gonna figure that out when I'm ready to figure it out.
yeah,
But I want to meet people that are doing like fun, interesting things.
yeah,
And our connection was so silly at first because, like, just for the record, like what you said to me, I'm a girl at a show with a huge camera, huge lens, and you're like, hey, you a photographer? And that's like when people come up to me and I'm playing pinball and they're like, hey, are you winning?
yeah.
I'm like, no.
I also think that that was a period, that was when I was still really terrible at talking to girls, and I had decided it doesn't matter what you say, just go talk to them.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, I love hearing what people develop and it's always sloppy. And I'm so excited to hear it every time. It's the worst.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's like you tried,
Yeah.
you shot your shot.
I feel like the try is way more important than the thing. And
Hmm.
I also feel like every single time I don't shoot my shot, I will like spend like sometimes days, sometimes weeks thinking about, fuck, dude, I wish I talked to that girl.
Hmm.
Like, or I
Just
wish I would have asked
try.
her number for a
Yeah.
number when I didn't or whatever. But every time that I try, even if I get shut down, I'm always like, I'm so glad I tried, you know, or
Yeah.
like, oh, that was fucking hilarious. I ate shit or whatever. Then it's always funny or a good story, or I feel
Hmm.
good about, well, at least I went over there.
It was an
And
experience. And like, look at us now. And the funny thing about that is, like, I think a lot of people are, before you know it necessarily, you're kind of like magnetically pulled to each other in a way.
yeah,
So, like, even though you said something stupid to me, I was like, for some reason, I like this guy. And like, I just got to figure that out.
yeah, yeah,
And then like that just blossomed into a beautiful friendship with so many good memories and so
yeah,
much fun and like
yeah, because it's been, yeah, like you said, 9 years.
yeah,
That's a long ass time.
and we still like each other. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think you were only mad at me that once, and I was only mad at you
Yeah,
that once.
we've just been mad at each other for being bad friends, really. Oh my gosh, look at this cat.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I mean, obviously we've had our times where we like spend a lot of time together, and then we have times where like we don't see each other for a while. I do love those random times when it's just like run into you, I'm like, oh
Exactly.
fuck. What was it, the last time I actually saw you was when I popped into 10th Street and I don't remember exactly why I was thinking of you,
Oh,
but I was up at Hap Hap, and I was just like, fuck, I wonder if Julie's out, or maybe you had texted me, but I was like, man, I haven't seen her in a while. I just want to go say hi. And it was, yeah, well, yeah, because it was, I hadn't seen you since the space bar
hmm.
fucking mess. And I was sitting with a couple other people, and then they went somewhere, and I was just like, I'm gonna run and say hi to Julie, and I was like, I'll meet up with you, but it's like I wasn't even drinking that night. I was just like, I'm like, fuck, dude, she's out. I'm gonna go say hi.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing too. Like sometimes I'll think of my friends and like pop in because like they know I'm working and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my God, yeah. Like I haven't seen this person in forever. You
yeah.
also came down specifically because I was like, I'm wearing glasses and I'm self-conscious. And you
Oh
were like,
yeah,
I'll be right
yeah,
there. I've never seen that.
yeah. That
And
is
you're like,
funny.
yeah, fucking nerd. And I was like, fair enough.
There was I actually remember my buddy Chris was there. He works at that old school steakhouse, or what place is that called? I don't remember. It's like old money. Anyway, he was there with his girlfriend, and I went over and said hi, and this super hot girl like came up to the bar, and like we locked eyes, and I was like, I'm gonna talk to that girl before I leave. And then she went back and was like sitting with this dude, and I was like, fuck, am I still gonna do it? Because I
What?
thought about just being like, oh, like, are you guys on a date? And then I didn't, but
You know that
that was a moment that I thought about. I thought about that a couple times that night, and the next day I was like, I fucking should have done it. I should at least checked and see if they were together, because I'm like,
hmm.
chances are they were just like catching up as friends.
You're still thinking about her.
Yeah, yeah. I just thought about her right now. Yeah, those kind of moments, it like fucking pisses me off so much, and I no matter how many times I think I'm gonna learn my lesson and I'm just gonna do the thing,
Hmm.
I feel like talking to girls as a dude, or even a girl talking to dudes, you don't really have to do it as much. But I feel like it is really a good life lesson. Like if you learn to talk to the pretty girl that you don't think you have a chance with, you learn to take other shots. And like those the skill set and the try is what you need to do in life to be successful wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
It's like the thing that's scary, like I want to learn to play guitar, but I don't know if I can play in front of people. It's just like, fuck it. I want to do it. You don't want to
Yep.
wonder, just go do it. And I feel like if you practice with the hot girls, not only will you get the benefit of meeting more hot girls, but then you will get to actually get better at like, oh, I'm more confident now. I am a person who can at least grow the stones to go over there and do it. So like, why wouldn't I go try stand up comedy? Because I've been thinking about it. I'm
Hmm.
like, fuck it, good, which is something I'm gonna do. So, but yeah, I do think that helps. Or maybe vice versa. Maybe you try the other things first and then you learn to talk to girls. But either way, like they complement each other nicely.
I've always been a person where I've been like, if I recognize that something scares me, it makes me want to do it more. That's how
Yeah.
I ended up with a cat.
Cat
That's how,
scared you?
yeah, I was
I
terrified
didn't
of
know
cats.
that.
So the first thing I did when I was 18 is I got a kitten because I was like, I'm confronting that, or like being confident in any other aspect. Like bartending was scary with liquor, with
Mm-hmm.
craft cocktail. I was like, that's horrifying. I don't know what I'm doing. That means I need to do it.
Where did you craft?
So when Spacebar was shut down originally, I was kind of looking at spots where, like, I had been a dive bar bartender, I'd been a beer
Yeah.
tender, all that, and I was like, okay, I need to find somewhere that is like a healthy-ish work environment where, like, I could. I've always been a person where everything I've done, I hijack a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So like, skip college, it was just like, who that's the best thing about Boise too is like
Yeah.
it's a big fish, small pond kind of thing. So everybody knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's also why you can't fuck up, but it's also how you can grow and succeed with 1 degree of separation.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, craft cocktail, I got to learn it. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I did the modern for a while. So I
That's
bar
right.
back there and then developed that, and that led me into being able to run a full liquor bar.
Yeah. How do you like that was one of my hardest things, still maybe is like finding a mentor. Like
You
how
ask around, you look, and then you have the confidence to ask them.
ask them to help you. Like did you because you did that with photo too, right?
Yeah, I've done that with everything that I've gotten into.
Maybe
Really,
it's just that I haven't asked that
it's
because
all
like
it's all about who you know, really.
yeah. Yeah,
So
building a circle.
yeah,
That is true because like I consider Michael one of my biggest mentors in photo video, like, or you call it like a mentor is like a cheat code.
Yeah,
It's it,
exactly.
but didn't, I didn't find like he finally like it just like clicked into place,
Hmm.
and I feel very blessed and thankful. But um, same with podcasts. I'm like, I don't know somebody else who has a very successful podcast that I can go ask to help me,
Mm.
other than if I guess one thing I could do is just start emailing successful podcasts and be like, hey, would you mentor me? Um, I don't know why I haven't thought of that till right now.
It doesn't even have to be direct. Like hijacking a mentor could be like somebody that you're watching on YouTube. Like
Sure.
you're
Yeah,
watching
but
Gary Vee or whatever. Like that is technically hijacking mentor.
yeah, I mean, you are right. I mean, that is how I learn a lot of stuff. But there's something about like the ins and outs of podcasting that even in YouTube, there's not a lot because it's so new. There's not a lot of like, dude, it took me forever to figure out the multicam thing. Like I could have barely even find any YouTube videos on it and shit. I'm like, how the fuck is this not like out there? Um, but I think I just gave myself an idea of like I might start just emailing and be like, hey, like I'm building a podcast. Here's how I am so far. I would love it if I could learn from you. Have you could I even if offering like trading for services or
Hmm.
paying for mentorship, but somebody that I already know. If I'm chasing somebody down to pay, it's not somebody trying to sell me on bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I already see that they're successful. But yeah, because it is very, very fucking difficult, some of these things, and I'm just like, I do know that I will learn over time, but it is a cheat code if you have somebody be like, no, do this, you
Hmm.
know?
Especially like it gives you that extra level of I have to do really well because I don't want to let this person down.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that a lot with my goal for sure. Um, anyway, so back to our kind of our like story and like growing whatever, because we've like spent years where like hang out more, hang out less. I mean, I think I've probably had I don't know if you were after I dated Maggie, but like I think I dated Taylor when like
Hmm.
we were friends. Mia, Natasha, Cinda, and then you've had a couple boyfriends. So it's like with that phenomenon that happens when you start dating somebody and you see your friends less.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing.
Especially since all my friends are dudes. I get sucked
Yeah.
into like when
Yeah, that's
I'm
tricky.
definitely like a monogamous and I have an easier time focusing on like one person at a time. Like you kind of develop your life around somebody kind of thing.
Yeah.
But every time like, I fell out of a relationship, I was like, "Oh shit, where are my friends?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, what's Josh up to now?"
Yeah. You're like, oh, I forgot we weren't hanging out
My
anymore because
good
I've
time
been in a
boy. My good time
relationship.
boy, where's he at?
That is really tough to achieve. Um, I think it can be done. Like I've seen, like my friend Ivy has a ton of dude friends, and her husband Kevin is just like so chill and a guy's guy, and he just understands her really well. And he's just like, yeah, dude, Ivy's friends Ian, Ivy's friends Josh, and
Mhm.
I've never once got like any sort of like feeling of like a jealousy from him,
Mhm.
or like I've never once picked up that he thought I was a threat.
Yeah.
And but those kind of guys are very rare. Like it's so hard because guys are just like, yeah, but what about all these dudes that are trying to fuck my girlfriend? Like then they're just like fucking nervous about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty rare to find.
It's a level of balance, like you said earlier. Like, dudes are always like, yeah, like I would totally, like, if you get out of a relationship, your dude friend might try to hit on you or whatever, which is always like a bummer. But I think that there's a level of trust in relationships where, like, when I'm single, I'm out there mildly. Like, I'm not, that's why I live vicariously through my friends. Like, I'm not slutted around
Yeah.
when I attach to people emotionally or I'm just alone. But like, if I'm not in a relationship, uh, I'm just free and on my own and spending time with myself or like casually with other people. But
Yeah.
if I'm in a relationship, I am inherently monogamous. Like, I completely believe in poly. I think it's super cool, but I just inherently monogamous. So I am like in a relationship that is very open, communicative. He has like almost all female friends. I have almost all dude friends. And
That's lame.
all of our friends also just like merge and mesh in a
Yeah.
way, which is so cool. Like we hang out with the same people, And in my past relationships, it's been like hard to merge those friend groups.
Yeah, but his friends and your friends actually get along.
Yeah.
That's
Or
super
we're
nice.
all the same friends kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. That
But
is super nice.
it's a huge perk of like Tavis and I, like I tried to get him to be my friend for years. He refused, and then I hired him, and then we became the best of friends. And that like I didn't see like our relationship coming at all. Like I was so dedicated to being single. I was not focused on that at all.
Yeah.
I like didn't have a crush on him in that way. And then eventually we just realized we are like, oh shoot. So like I just get to hang out with my best friend all the time, and
Yeah.
it's awesome. And
And you
because
get
we're
to
all friends with
bang.
the same friends and we get to bang, it's so cool.
That is something I've never done. Like I've never been just homies with zero desire and then
Yeah.
also like I have had friends who have always wanted to fuck and we've eventually fucked. Like there has been that. But yeah, all the girls that I've ever dated, it was just like sex was like right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like it was known that we were intimate and then we developed, our connection later. But yeah, that is so interesting. Like I can't even wrap my head around like my good friend Hannah, just always straight up friends, right? I can't even like wrap my head around like, oh, 3 years from now, all of a sudden
All of
we're
a sudden,
dating. There's no chance to me, like in
I
my
didn't see
brain.
it coming
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
Which is that's usually when it happens is when you're not looking for it. So
Yeah. But you gained a lover and lost a job, so
true, yeah. So yeah, I guess that's a drama that we could touch on. But I'll start with like I don't like it's hard for me to talk about this, and I thought about talking about it like openly on the internet like this, which I have yet to do outside of like one post that was very whatever it was.
I read that. I was like,
And
oh damn, it
yeah.
is out.
So I was very nice about that with the situation, but it was like I don't want the memory of Spacebar to be that, which is
Yeah.
why like I don't try to spread that, and I will be discreet when I talk about it. It's just like the thing that I realized the most is it was the most painful breakup I've ever been through. It was everything that I worked for years,
How long? It was like 6 years, 7.
like 6 years. Yeah. It was a total accident. So when you met me, like you mentioned, I was working at bodybuilding.com.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then I got my first opportunity I was like 21 when I met you, 22. I wanted to work full time for myself by the time I was 25, doing photo, video, marketing, websites, all that stuff. But I was still pretty fresh. So I got a great opportunity at a marketing company to do that. They basically needed somebody that could do everything. And learned so much, had a great time. But I've always been a night owl. So I started using bars as coffee shops, which is where like I met Tavis, who was working at Press and Pony, and he was the first bartender. Which I have so much passion for bartenders that have a personality that you're attracted to, and that's why you go back to a bar. He was the first one that I ever experienced. He doesn't remember any of these interactions, which is hilarious. But he was like my attachment, and then I started using bars as like late night coffee shops, which skipping some of the story brought me to Space Bar. So I was just there all the time as a regular, working on my shit, working full time for myself. And eventually, one of the girls was leaving, and she was like, "Hey, I want to recommend you for a job." And I was like, ugh, I will never be an employee again. Absolutely not. I've already worked bar. And then I was like, well, and then long story short, I just got sucked in. I got really passionate about it. Personally owned business is definitely my thing. So I got close to the two owners who had just like recently bought it after one of them managed it for a while. And I was just full in. Like I totally quit all my side photo video stuff, but I was also doing it for them a lot. All my passions were fulfilled. I was just addicted. I loved it.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing about it was I was so passionate about the idea of what it was for the community. Like bars are third spaces, and they have been throughout history.
What do you mean by third space?
It's like a not work, not home. It's where you go to like
the alternate of those.
Yes. It's like what you look forward to, like why your regulars hang out at your bar.
Yeah,
it's like it's their third space.
Okay.
And with Space Bar, obviously like huge nerd bar, lots of people on the spectrum, great energy, just pulse. And it was so much fun. And then We went through that phase of like we were looking at bigger spaces because that space terrible. Just I was dealing with the bar flooding constantly for months. And the building owners literally just signed the lease out from underneath us, and they hit us with like, you have 1 month to get out of here.
That's wild.
So we crushed, I think, like New Year's tree fort, and then we're out. It's supposed to be like we ended up panic signing a lease next door, and they were like, it'll be like a month until you're in here. A year later,
Yeah.
the owners put all of like just all of their money into it, like signed a bunch of loans. So when we were first opening, I didn't quite have like a staff or anything. It was just like go time, like we're doing it. But it was like black walls. We just got all the machines in there. Like I'm working hours and hours for free because I believe in it and I love it, setting everything up. And then we open the doors and people hit us with just like negativity, like, ooh, like it feels empty, it doesn't have life, blah blah blah, like it's smaller. It was just like it was so hard to hear after like watching the two owners and me suffer through all of that and put everything into it. We're like, give us a minute. But then watching it like develop and building my staff, which was just amazing. Like I had the best crew. We had so much fun. 0% turnover rate. So proud of that. Like it was just everything I wanted. And I had an ex that told me when I first had started at Spacebar, like, you're cheating on me with your work. And that was so me in all my relationships, whether it was photo, video, whatever. I was just always passionate and sucked in.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, well, I want to buy Spacebar. And the owners knew that. So I was banking on buying it in 2025, like being a third part in it with them. We got matching tattoos this year. On that note, a little embarrassing now.
Oh shit! I don't know that.
So we're all in. It's just the three amigos. We're crushing it. We're doing it. So to cut out like a lot of the drama, the short of it, in all like basicness, was I was really close with both of the owners. One of them, the one that is bad, just started getting jealous of Tavis, who is my like basically bar manager, not bar manager, but like cocktail guy. Like gave him a promotion. He's crushing it. He's the best that we can have. Also a situation where I was hijacking my mentor because I was like, I needed to teach me some stuff because I still like barely know what I'm doing here.
Right.
And he ran his own bar. He's been in the industry forever, like so talented. So we become the best of friends. And then all of a sudden the owner hits me out of the blue with like, I'm in love with you. And I was like, why? You've been treating me like shit for a long time. That's crazy. You're one of my best friends.
Yeah.
So he writes me a love letter, writes Tavis a love letter. He thinks something is going on between us. And we're still both in the phase where Tavis is like, I respect her. Nothing's happening. She doesn't want to date anybody. So it all blows up, gets crazy. Me and the owners have a meeting. It gets good for a couple weeks. And then it just goes super crazy again. So it just hit a point where like tree fort, I ran tree fort by myself. It was the craziest, like best tree fort ever, but I had no support because the other owner was shitty and just dipped, cut me off like all social media, took away all my permissions. Like I couldn't pay payroll. I had to reach out to the payroll girl. Like it was just a lot of drama. But literally the conversation I had with him was like, I love you. You're my friend. I want to buy this bar and I don't want to date you. I don't want to date anybody. I want to buy this bar. I want you to be my friend. Yeah. And he was like, marry me or you and Tavis are fired. And I was like, no.
So fucking crazy.
And it sounds crazy because it was crazy. So it feels ridiculous to talk about. And I'm also like, I'm not that cool. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And I thought it would get better. Like he did get better for a couple of weeks, but then I just had to like accept that he's like a by the book narcissist. And there's a lot that I'm leaving out here of years of craziness, but like I ended up taking over the management of the staff because he's a bridge burner. He uses people kind of thing. And I was like, but I see the good in him and I love him and I want to be like the barrier for that. Anyways, what happened was like bad enough, I'll say, that like I didn't want to share it. I didn't want to accept it, but it was like a point where I was just like, am I going to have to let go of everything that I've worked for? So I just kind of lightly told my staff and my DJs, and the other owner is there with me through all of this and hearing all this craziness. Like I was like, I think I have to quit because I'm getting pushed out
Yeah.
and I'm holding on for dear life. Like this rope is burning my hands and I'm
Yeah.
trying, but
Yeah.
like I can't deal with this craziness.
Dude.
And I was also hoping if I did that, it would like push him to a level of like, oh, I messed up. So I just lightly told my staff, I said, I don't need to fill you in with all the details unless you want to hear them. I don't expect anybody else to quit. This is just kind of a me thing. And every single one of my staff members, like the other owner, my DJs, all my events were like, we're out with you. That's absolutely
Yeah.
insane. So with me not sharing all those details, that's what I can say is like what the close people to the bar heard and saw the proof of, they were like, we're all done.
Yeah. Dude, also, yeah, I mean, every time I went in there, you could tell like everybody loves you. Like you.
That bar was like, especially when we were getting that point and we were just barely getting there, like
Yeah.
it was still a baby with the new location, but we had so much fun. It was just the best.
Yeah. Also, yeah, you did. I mean, I can attest because I've spent a lot of time in the first bar with you, and just like the amount of heart and soul you put into that place. You're just like always there. So yeah, your ex-boyfriend was right. You were cheating on him with it.
Absolutely, but
But
it's
for sure, like that, you can tell that that was your heart and soul, and that was just like, fuck, dude, I cannot believe this. Um, yeah, sorry, I kind of cut you off.
no, not at all. It meant so much to so many people. And the biggest thing that hooked me, that like when I'm saying the bad owner, he did hook me in a way where he was like, I was like, why Boise? Like, why this idea in Boise? What are you passionate about here? And it's idea that I still believe in, where all the good people leave Boise because all these like corporations or people with money are coming in saying this is what Boise needs. Spacebar was this beautiful entity of a third space, like a fun thing for so many people. Like it was so important for the community, and that was why I was hooked to it. So that's the remembrance that I want it to be. And there was so much history before me, and so many people put so much into it. Like that's what I want to focus on. It does suck, and I don't want to be the center of like the end all of it. But it was such a stand up for like the community where it was like we're not going to put up with shitty business owners that are trying to pull this.
Yeah.
Because obviously like he was like, I just wanted an apology from him, and that's what everybody wanted. And maybe what we would have been like, okay. I thought it would have been like, oh no, I messed up.
Yeah.
But it was literally just like I could do it on my own. And then what happened?
Yeah, bye bye. Dude, that it does suck because I feel like that that level of I guess it's just like the power of bar owners. I mean, but bar owners notoriously get that way. You know, they notoriously
Ego.
either creep out their underling or date them, or so there's like, you know, you hear rumors about all the fucking, you know, big bar owners,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not all. I think there's the tendency to go that way. You have to really like lock your shit up if you're not going to do that. And
Just like don't be a douchebag. I don't know.
yeah, I do. I hope, like I told you this when that all went down via text, but I do. It's gonna be hard to like. It's until hindsight, like down the road, but I don't think like all that time was wasted. I think you learned a lot. I like potentially. I mean, I don't know what you want in your future, but like I could see you owning a bar like that down the road. You have the right investors, and like I know you give your heart and soul to it. So like that's half the battle, is just like if you believe in a project that you can make it work. And yeah, like I mean, you have the energy, the passion, and then now you have the learning experience, you have the connections with really good staff members. You know, if you start a place, you can call these people like, yep, I'm in, Julie, you know, right?
I know so many good like bar owners were reaching out to me too, and they're like, when do you want your new bar? And I'm just like I need a minute,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it was
for
the
sure.
most like heartbreaking, insane, emotional, like everything that you worked for is ripped away.
Yeah.
And now like in hindsight, now that I've healed from it, also now that I've landed in a good spot, like for the record, when people talk to me about Spacebar, like I try to cut it short. I try not to be dramatic. The Reddit's really funny.
Noted.
And I always say like, yeah, big bummer, haha. But I have a happy ending in the story, and that happy ending is like, well, luckily, like 10th Street had an opening at the exact time I was going to apply. And I went down and talked to the owner, and he was like, "Oh, you're the girl." Because everybody in town knows you can't pull that shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Unfortunately." And he was like, "Well, I can promise you that I won't like sexually harass you or force you to date me to work here."
Yeah.
And I was like, I love that for me. So that's been really cool. I work for another like personally owned business owner where like I want to give back to who I owe my success to.
Yeah.
Lost everything, but also like sometimes in life, like the universe is like, stop doing that. Like this person is treating you poorly. Do better. And then it just gets ripped away from you because it's like, all right, you had enough time to figure that out. And that's just how I try to look at it. Yeah. Yeah. Big bummer, but like, you know, you never know where life's going to send you after that. And it was for the best ultimately, but.
Yeah. What was that, 6 months ago now ish?
It was in March. So we're almost at a year.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Yeah, dude. I like, man, there's obviously with life, it's like always going to be highs and lows. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, it's just the nature of life. But like, I really am trying as I continue to grow. It's just like there's these like really trying times. Just like, dude, I am going to be thankful for this one day because I'm so much stronger. I learned so much more. Like, it's just, you have to hold on to that like hope of like, yeah, we're going to get through this. Fucking sucks right now. You know, like it'll get better and more doors will open. I learned so much. I gained more connections and all this stuff. So it's just trying to stay, obviously it's like you're not always going to be positive, but like just trying to like in the general sense, be like, all right, fucking get up. Let's get after it, you know. And then when you take those attitudes, doors start opening. You're like, oh fuck. Oh, I like this. Oh, I didn't even realize that I could do this and this and this, you know. So sometimes you're blinded if you're stuck in like that spot.
That's actually one of my favorite things is like when I'm down bad, like when I'm going through the worst shit, I remind myself like, "Ooh, this sucks. This feels awful." But you have to have the bad because then when you feel good, you're like, "Oh, remember when it was bad? That sucked. Like that was terrible. Now life is good again."
Yeah.
But if life's good all the time, like how are you gonna be a good person?
Yeah. You also just get acclimated. It's like a therapist told me, it's like humans have this insane ability to acclimate to any situation. So if you're acclimated to a lot of really good times, it eventually becomes mediocre.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, if you get acclimated to a fuck ton of trauma, it becomes like, yeah, whatever. It's just like every day, you know.
You'd just be funny about it.
Yeah, it's like why, I mean, people in North Korea can literally still just live their life like with all this trauma around them. They're just like, yeah, there's dead people in the streets. That's what it is.
You know, God, that's way darker than my life. Thank you for actualizing me. Jesus.
But I mean, it's like, yeah, the human's just like, yeah, you just get used to it. And so it can be a bad thing when you get used to like such positive things because you still need, that's why like challenging yourself with hard things is a good way to inflict your own kind of trauma or like stress, or is like, you need a challenge because if everything's easy, it's like playing a video game on it. It's like, it's not fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you want to have a challenge.
Bored. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think happiness is a major extreme and sadness is also an extreme. Being in the middle is great.
Yeah.
But you get to experience all three occasionally, and that's a good wave. But also like on the note of therapy, I dated not dated, but like I was hanging out with a therapist for a little while. Something that cracked me up because of the person that I am, like I am always going to take the good from the bad because one, I'm very funny. I have trauma. My whole life been bad. It's just, again, dark comedy all the time. But every time it happens, I'm like, but he was like, you have toxic positivity. So sometimes that sits with me where I'm not ignoring the terrible shit. I'm just not going to sit with it. Like, I'm going to feel it a little bit, but I would much rather be the person that is like, that sucked, and here's what I learned.
Yeah.
And this is why it's funny.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. Well, I'm glad that's behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. Much more in the future. Who knows now, too? You know, I can do anything. I'm not attached.
Yeah. The world is your clam, as they say. Oyster.
The world is your clam.
On that note, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Thanks so much. I love you. Cheers.
Nobodies.